everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap, a show where we sit down, we talk about video games, we talk about what we've been playing. We have some conversations. It's a very relaxed show, and to be very relaxed with me today is Mr. Kyle Bossman.
Hey, everybody.
Are you feeling really relaxed?
No, but I can get in the zone. I can become relaxed.
You can become relaxed. That's
Yes.
good. There are a lot of times where I feel like I can't become relaxed. Where I want to relax, but it's just beyond my grasp. And at the end there, most frequent Frame Trap guest by a long margin, which is something I appreciate, Michael Huber.
Hey everyone, welcome to 78.8 Easy Allies Radio. We're chilling out today.
I really want a podcast where you like that the whole time. Huber, you are always willing to jump in, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
You're always good about that.
That's my strength, Ben, is if you ask me to my face or online, whatever, if you ask me to do something, I'm doing it. I'm there.
Yeah.
It's when you don't ask me to do something, things can kind of slip on by. I can get distracted, you know?
Sure.
But if someone comes up to me and is like, yo, can you do this? Sure.
You're a man of your word.
And there's no complaining about it. It's eagerness. It's enthusiasm. I like that.
Co-op.
I was thinking about, the what have we been playing banter for today.
Yeah.
And I realized that with both of you, you're both kind of involved in some big things that have happened recently. Huber, I want to start with you. You just went over to Kind of Funny. And you talked to those guys.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of collaborations.
Yeah.
And Kind of Funny is in a similar position that we are. So what was that experience like? How was it talking with the guys?
Very fun.
How was it comparing their stuff to our stuff? All that sort of...
Really similar. Very, very similar vibes. And it was just so fun, so awesome. They were so inviting. I came over and I was talking to him and I was like, so, this is not a bit, this is me talking to them. I'm like, yo, so this is not a bit, my mind wanders. We can be talking about Monster Hunter and 10 seconds later, we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn or something. My mind just goes places. So if I just jump in and say something random, is that okay? And they're like, yeah, just be yourself. Because I was concerned, my mind goes places. It
doesn't happen as much anymore. But during the game trailer days, I remember a couple of times where we'd be talking about something and then somebody would say something and then you would ask a question that they had answered in their statement. And you'd be like, wait, what? Or we'd be in a really intense conversation and you'd be like, have you guys seen the latest episode of Gotham?
Yeah.
That kind of thing would happen a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Unintentionally, my mind just goes.
Yeah.
So
what's their video wall like? What is that in person?
Dude, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so distracting when I filmed with Tim because it's just this really awesome artwork of iconic video game moments. So the first one that pops up is Cloud and Aerith in the life stream, just emotions, and then you got Yoshi's Island and Mario fighting Bowser, and really awesome video wall.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was so fun. Everyone was really welcoming and jolly and good vibes, and they said they want to come on here. Tim specifically said he wants to be on Frame Trap.
Ooh, I would love to.
I would love to have him on.
So, boom.
So
it's gonna happen.
I rarely leave the house, so if he wants to come here, that would be ideal. No, but with you guys, it's easy to be comfortable. I think it's easy to be like, okay, we're shooting this, and it might be a comedy improv thing. It might be let's sit down and talk about a game or whatever it is. And it's gotten to a point where I've known you guys for so long that it's no big thing. We talk pretty much identically when we're on camera versus when we're off. Obviously there are some differences, but I think for the most part that's definitely true. Was it weird? Did you get kind of that early...
I was extremely nervous.
Yeah.
Extremely. Because dude, growing up, man, I was a fan of Greg Miller. I'm 30. He's a little older than me, but not by much, but right. He was where I wanted to be when I was in college for journalism, going down that path.
I remember him talking about Lair. Yeah.
Lair.
Yeah.
Vita, PS4, or PS3, even Uncharted 3 review, obviously, I got to bring up, which is fun. I've always wanted to bring that up to him. So I was like, Uncharted 3 is a 10. But yeah, it was. I was nervous, but they were so cool and chill that that the nerves went away as soon as we started.
Did you talk about Podcast Beyond? Because that was definitely for a long time a podcast that I listened to and enjoyed.
I didn't want to go down that road, you know.
Sure.
That's a road.
Yeah,
That's a road.
But
That's a
podcast
road. That's fair.
Beyond hype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I came in today. I was early, just because we had to set everything up ourselves, and I wanted to come in early and make sure everything was prepared. And I didn't know this was going to be happening. You were doing some VO recording for Box Peak, and that is something that a new project that you're undergoing. And I was thinking about it this morning.
Yeah.
As I was getting ready at my apartment, and I was like, man, like he's basically creating a television show. Like that's crazy, where you have to come up with the concept, you have to edit it, you have to voice direct it, you have to do all of this stuff. When you first came up with this project of Box Peak, and we should probably have you explain what it is in general.
Yeah.
Versus now that you're kind of like in the midst of trying to make it real, how has that journey been for you?
It has been a long journey.
Yeah.
I think we're in 9 to 10 months into this journey, Ben. So Box Peak is a web series, and it is something that I really wanted to do, and is so much more than I thought I was pitching. I was pitching 10 episodes of 10-minute long, 10-minute episodes. 10-minute episodes, excuse me. That is what I was pitching. And I'm like, I'm going to get this done in 2 months.
Right.
I guess because of stuff that I've done with Final Bossman and even Bossman at home, just doing bonus bits, like I understand like working really hard on a thing for like 24 hours and then putting it out. And
you're like, oh,
that's
10 bonus bits.
Yeah, 10 bonus bits. I was like, I'm going to be a mess for 10 weeks. It'll be done. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. And so, yeah, it's been really rough. But recently, I've been able to like focus on it. I'll just be upfront actually about it.
Yeah.
So in January, I started taking antidepressants.
Okay.
And I like it a lot.
Okay.
It helps me focus. So actually, here's the thing. I had to do an update in February, and in early January, I was thinking like, I'm going to have to do an update for Box Peak that's like, I'm sorry, everybody, I can't work on this. Like, I have to figure out something else to do. Maybe we'll just put out the scripts or something.
Right.
But I started taking this antidepressant, and it, like, helps me, like, have agency with my mind. It helps me, like, focus and work, which is crazy. And,
dude, good on you, man.
Yeah,
courageous.
absolutely.
It was honestly, it was hard for me to, like, finally take that step.
Yeah, dude.
But, it's cool. And, like, the thing is, though, like, it sucks to work on. It's like,
Right.
it's still like, it's like, yeah, I'm really happy that I'm like being able to focus and everything, but it's just like you're working for like 8 to 10 hours just cutting.
Right.
Just cutting little characters out of paper. But the thing was, Ben, recently, just last week when I was cutting, when I was like X-Acto knifing the gap between somebody's arm,
Yeah.
I realized how much I enjoy this.
Okay.
I realized that like, oh, I'm doing this because I like this. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be doing this. I should be spending my time on other things, writing other things, making something easier to produce, and helping other people help me. But I realized that just like I like the craftsmanship. I like the crafts. I like that I'm just like doing every element of this web series, which I didn't explain. It's just like paper puppets who talk to each other, which sounds so simple.
Yeah.
9 months ago, paper puppets sounded so simple. This is gonna be so easy to do, but it's just so much. It's so much work.
When you say that you kind of have this moment with, despite how stressful it is, how much
Yeah.
it's weighed on you, despite it working on it for so long, is it the more the mechanical process of just building something, like creating something physical, or is it more of the I'm building a world with characters with a storyline? Is which camp is it more favored in, I guess, for you?
Definitely, the writing process was really fun.
Yeah.
Of creating a world, and I mean, I guess you've honestly done that with tabletop.
Oh, kind of. It's not the same thing. A lot of tabletop stuff is me just trying to put a loose frame on whatever you guys are doing as it's happening.
Sure.
Whereas this is more you're sitting down, you're like, this is how the story is gonna go.
Yeah, and it's fun. I haven't done a story like that in ages. You know,
Yeah.
like we've done bonus bits, we've had running narratives, but for the narrative to be the entire thing, you know, it's what lights me up. It's what I want to do, and so it's really fun to do all those things. But yeah, honestly, even the craftsmanship, I kind of like the idea that when this is done, when you see a character on the screen who has a gap in their arm and you go, oh, Kyle had to cut out that gap. I mean, like, you should be focused on the dialogue, you should be focused on the characters,
Right.
but I think, like, just that subtlety of, like, this idea of, like, it looks bad, but it's like somebody made this.
Right.
I think it honestly adds to it a little bit.
Uh,
And I'll tell you another thing, Ben. I'll
Yeah,
tell you what.
absolutely.
Because it actually is completely related to what Huber just talked to about. The reason why they're paper people, the reason why I'm making a web series that wasn't just like the flat animations that I used to do at the end of Final Bossman episodes was the Kind of Funny animated series. And I didn't want to make something that is just clearly worse than theirs.
oh,
And
sure.
so, like, if I tried to make an animated series, it would just be worse than the Kind of Funny one.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what can I do that's different? What can I do with what the resources I have? And that's why they're paper people. Is that it'll at least be different. It'll be in its own little column. It won't be an animated series that looks worse than theirs.
Yeah, I think that is really smart. Having the judgment to be able to be like, well, let's not make that comparison.
Yeah.
Super apparent. But a question I have for you, I don't act on any of these, but every once in a while, you get bored or you're waiting in line or something. You're like, oh, here's an idea that I have for a story.
Yeah.
And I'll just start thinking about it. And I'll start going through it in my mind, and maybe I'll make a note or something. And I'll be like, this is a really good idea. I think you could create an entire story based on that. And then a day later, a week later, some period of time later, I wake up and I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea?
Yeah.
And I think when you're in any creative endeavor, I think that's a really hard thing to be confident enough in the foundation that you're building to keep going forward, to start making those arm cutouts, right?
Yeah.
And so what was that process like for you? Was there a lot of rewrites? Was there a lot of throwing out? Was there a lot of like, I'm going to completely change the idea? Or did you feel pretty confident throughout the whole thing?
No, Ben, yeah. So when I talk about like how an antidepressant like helped me actually accomplish this goal,
Yeah.
there are just many times where I just like, you're right. You need to be insane to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Successful people are like idiots. You know what I mean? Like they're all D-bags, but you have to be a D-bag. You have to be so crazy to think you are good enough. To think that what you're writing is good enough for people to read, you have to be stupid. You have to be insane. And so like you have to find that. You have to find that confidence.
Right.
And that confidence is like it's not warranted for any of us, you know what I mean? For anybody. Like nobody's writing is good, but you just have to believe it's good and you like because it is. Because it is. And so, when I say nobody's writing is good, it's kind of true, but also everybody's writing is good. And just like if you're genuine, if you're honest, if it's something that you like, other people will probably like it. And if they don't, that's okay. You know what I mean? We're all on this weird journey of getting better and improving ourselves. And so that's really what the stuff I try to focus on.
That's why the bad games I review are way harder to write than the good ones.
Yeah.
It's like the one, writing a Resident Evil review is obviously way easy because I love it so much. So it's
Yeah,
like, all right,
right.
just be myself, write this. I feel good. It's like harder because I care more about it, maybe. It's like,
Yeah.
this is Resident Evil. I really got to nail this. But it's like from such an honest, good place. Whereas like if a game's terrible, I'm just like, I'm not even feeling this game right now. Like it's so bad. Blah, blah.
I've definitely learned to doubt myself a little bit more when it comes to that condemnation, because there are times where you're like, is this just irritating me in the moment? Am I just irritated? And so I'm like more susceptible to this. And so like you want to have that process, I think, where you're like, no, I'm really sure that the way I'm trash on this is accurate, because so much effort does go into this. And I think there's just that innate desire to be fair, right? As much as you can. Obviously, no one's perfect at it, but yeah, man, Kyle, that's so.
Kyle, you're getting there, man.
I'm glad.
Getting there, yeah.
I had no idea that this is where the conversation is going to take us, and I'm glad that you're bringing it up, because I think fundamentally every human being is undeniable. Like everybody wants other people to like them and approve of them, and whatever you're making, you want to get positive feedback on it. I think it's a very natural desire.
Yeah.
But I think kind of what you're talking about with the insanity and the confidence.
Yeah.
I think you kind of just have to reach a point, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you go back and forth with it, where you're just doing it because you love the thing. And whether it goes bad
Sure, yeah.
or it goes good, at least you can kind of take solace in the fact that, no, this is what I want to be doing. Like, maybe I suck miserably at it, but at least I want to do it. And I think that can be really empowering too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's honestly been that freedom of being able to commit so much time to a thing that I simply want to do is only because of Easy Allies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it is an incredible opportunity and unique. I'm not sure I'll have it again in the rest of my life. So I'm like, use it now while you got it, you know? So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is an easy thing to forget. I think with anything that you're doing a lot, you kind of just get encased in that bubble, and you start to find the things that annoy you or the stresses about this job. And there are stresses about Easy Allies, but like if you take a single step back and you look at what this is, how absolutely incredible it is, how amazing it is that we're afforded this opportunity, absolutely, it's incredible. But Kyle, the thing I want to commend you on when you were doing the VO recording with Box Peak, just like you can tell somebody really cares when they were going through as much effort as you were going through. Where you're like, no, try it again like this, try it again like that. Like, you have an idea in your head and you're really chasing after it and you're not settling for less. And I respect that a lot.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that like, so we were doing VO with Huber just ahead of time. I want to say that like it was, because that's what they say not to do as a director ever is like, make sure they do it the way that you were imagining it in particular.
Yeah.
I think that like it's cool. We kind of, and with like Jones and everybody really, it's like you're working together to like find it. Like I don't know specifically the voices and how I want Huber to deliver it, but yeah, it's actually a really cool process of, I don't know, like building, right?
Yeah.
Just we know when it didn't sound right, and then like we know it's like getting warmer and warmer, and then like it locked in, and it's like, oh, that's a good voice. Let's go with that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's fun.
Heck yeah.
It's always, not in a bad way, but it's always an interesting experience. And it doesn't happen always, but every once in a while, you know, you'll just spend a lot of time with a review script, and you'll be reading it in your head, you'll be reading it out loud, and then you send it to Brandon, and just the way where he chooses to stress certain sentences or things, it's like, wait, that is completely different than what I had burned into my brain.
Yeah.
And it's cool. That is your interpretation of it, but it's always really interesting going through that experience, how somebody can take something and just have a wildly different read on it than you. But in Box Peak, it sounds like that opens up some new opportunities.
Yeah.
When you see somebody, these characters that you've created, when you see somebody have their take on it, inject themselves into the character, does that kind of influence how you're thinking about the character and maybe like open them up a little bit?
For sure. I mean, so Amanda Troop plays the main character, and like we won't get into plots and anything like that, but she just sort of nailed it on the first try.
Professional.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, that is exactly what this character should sound like. And yeah, I think it changes how you draw him. I think it changes how the expressions that he can have and things like that. But then there's also characters who I had like no idea what their voices sound like, and so it has a huge influence on what they look like and things like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
When it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No rush. Let it cook.
Spring, hopefully. Well, no, I mean, I do, and this is another weird thing. We're getting into weird stuff at the top of this podcast. I want to be super open about it, you know, because I did spend 9 months just like languishing over the scripts and things and like not getting into the actual production. I want to be like, here's what I got done this week. Here's what I did this week. Here's what I did this day, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much like is owed to the community, how much I have
Once
to be
in a
specific
while, like
about
this,
it.
a check-in.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
No.
Game of Thrones takes over a year to make.
Yeah.
Box Speak, no different.
Yeah.
Similar scope, scale.
It's very similar.
So,
No,
You know,
no Game of Thrones this year is killing me.
Sure.
It's just killing me.
yeah, but we'll get Box Speak.
We'll get Box
Yeah, we'll
Peak.
get Box Peak. Yeah.
There we go.
It's all good.
Bring
It's
it
all
back
good.
around, Huber. We've got some games to talk about. The one I want to start with, purely out of my own curiosity, and kind of the interesting reception that it's getting, is Kingdom Come Deliverance. And Huber, you're working on that. You're playing through that.
Yeah.
And
Slowly. We're honest on this podcast.
We're honest
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
I'm reviewing 2 games. The other one, the review won't be out for a while, but I was working on that and finishing that up before I dive fully back into Kingdom Come.
yeah.
So, playing the long game.
Yeah, I just went through that experience myself where yesterday. Saturday, excuse me. Saturday, I finally finished the campaign for Divinity Original Sin 2, which is something that is like embarrassingly past due, but I think
better.
With our limited reviewing staff, it was like, okay, well, we've got to do this. Even though this is late, I'm going to move this over here so we can try to get these things out quicker. And it's frustrating because I feel like these compromises you're making are never completely satisfying.
Yeah,
and
it's a lose-lose.
At a certain point, you have to make a decision even though you're not completely happy with it. And sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes you make the wrong decision about how you're allocating your time. But anyway, Kingdom Come,
Kingdom
sorry.
Come. I'm like 10 hours in.
Oh, that's a good chunk, though.
So, I mean, the review guide said that it'll take 30 to 50, which is a big margin,
a big gap,
right?
yeah.
They're like 30 to 50 if you rush through it. You can easily spend over 100 hours on the review guides. That's what it says. Mm-hmm. So, very long game. Where do I even begin? What do I even say about this game?
Well,
okay. First of all, this is a historically accurate representation of 1400 Bohemia.
Listeners missed out on some quotation marks, some air quotes.
Because they even say, they're like, we're not 100% historically accurate. We've bent a little bit.
Striving for realism. Like working with historians, real architecture. Like in the game, when you walk by places, you'll get codex entries that will just tell you about the history of stuff. So like I walked by, I walked by like the skinner, or the skin guy, the tanner they call him. It's like working with like pelts and oils and things.
Like making leather?
Yeah, making leather and stuff. And just this whole big entry about what that was like back then, about how, you know, they smelled real bad and kind of stayed away from the main areas of the city, and just like diving,
because of the job you have.
Yeah, kind of diving into the history, which I really appreciate. Like I love history. You know, throw the History Channel on all the time. Little background noise.
No, I didn't know that about you.
My dad, big history buff.
Dads love History Channel. Yeah.
So they don't like to call Kingdom Come Deliverance a simulator, but I'm going to. Like, it is. You have to sleep. You have to eat. You talk to people in realistic ways. There's a quest very early on where your dad gives you a bunch of tasks. You're this son of a blacksmith. And the beauty of it is that it's not this chosen one storyline. You're just a guy. You're just this big dork. Even PC Gamer was like, they had a headline. They were like, I really appreciate playing as a dork in Kingdom Come Deliverance. Just like, not the chosen one, right?
So I'm not saving the world?
You get involved in, obviously, the big controversies.
Well, lots of movies start with dorks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to clarify the dorkiness of this character that you're playing as. When you say that he's a dork, what do you mean? Like, is he just like kind of socially awkward?
A little bit, I feel like. Yeah, some of the conversations like slightly awkward, like his deliveries maybe.
Okay.
And yeah, just the way he interacts with people, I guess. And then, so anyway, the dad gives you the quest to go down to the bar and get a beer, right? But he's like, yo, make sure that beer's cold. Okay. So
I really like this already.
Yeah, so I go down, like, you have to, like, I guess I'll just tell this. This is, like, the opening tutorial area, basically.
Yeah.
So the dad's like, all right, go do some quests.
Give me a cold beer,
Yeah,
son.
he's like, yo, so-and-so owes me money. Go collect the money. He owes me a debt. Go collect the money, use the money to buy the beer and some supplies, head back. Okay? You also, unbeknownst to your dad, have to meet this, like, knight that's coming in through town, like a drifter. He wants to train you. So I go down to the guy that owes me money, and basically you have to fight him in this case. You know, there's a lot of dialogue options. You can level up like your charm, and that helps with communication things. What's really cool, Ben, is that whenever you talk to anyone, you level up your charm. So just by, like, you know, JRPGs, Kyle, when you're like going into a town and it's like, all right, time to talk to everyone.
Yes.
So this person.
Yeah,
like,
I know it.
It's cool that in Kingdom Come, by doing that, you get better at speaking. So it's that whole system of leveling up, right?
Yes.
When you say you get better at speaking, does that mean just more dialogue options open up for you?
Your charm will open up, and that has a level, your charm level. So in conversations, when you pick charm, it's like, is my level high enough to persuade this person? There's also intimidation, like D&D style, where it's like I would level up my fighting. What you wear has a huge impact. If you're covered in blood, people are gonna freak out.
I want that.
You have to wash yourself at the trough. If you're talking to nobility and you look like a bum, they're not gonna give you the time of day. But if you dress really nice, they're gonna hear you out. So again, back to this damn beer. I want to talk about this beer.
Does the charm influence prices, negotiation, bartering?
That I do not know, but I would not be surprised.
Okay.
So finally get the beer, do all that, get the beer, but then I take a little side trip and go meet the guy for combat training.
What does the beer come in?
Just like a pitcher. And he gives you it. It's in your inventory. You know, he's not like actually carrying it. Yeah.
Got it.
Inventory. You have a max and minimum of how much you can carry there.
Sure.
Maximum weight. So then I go do the training, and then I finally go back to the dad and I say, "Here is your beer." And he goes, "What the hell? This thing's cold." He's like, "This thing's warm now and flat. Go get me another one."
Does he take a sip?
No.
Oh, okay.
You don't see that. Yeah.
All right.
So then you had to go back. Because I took too long getting the beer back to him, he made me do it again. And I think that little details like that are very cool.
Because you wouldn't think that. You're putting a beer in your inventory. You're like, oh, okay, I got it. And that's a key item. I'll bring it back to him later. Yeah.
Like,
it was a living item. Yeah, I get that.
Timing is really important in this game. So, like, I think that's such a awesome way to immerse you in this world, especially when it comes to quests. Because like you said, so many games will be like, fill up your quest list. You know, you've got your main quests and all your optional quests. But because time matters so much in Kingdom Come, I can't just get my main quest and then fool around and do like 50 side quests in a row. It's like, no. These people are being attacked. Like, I have to go help them now. Or like, yo, this person wanted me to meet him at dusk. I have to go now. If you pass dusk and go, they can be gone. Like, quests can just fail like that. Like, yo, meet me outside of the tavern at dusk. Mm-hmm. And you just don't go and they're gone. That's it. Quest gone. Quest failed. Maybe you can find that guy later and maybe pick it up. Who knows? I don't know if it's that detailed, but little details like that.
So this is some Shenmue stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly what I was thinking.
With these quests that you're going through, it's awesome that you really have to pay attention and they're not just waiting around for you to do them.
Yes.
There are limits on them. But what are the rewards like? Do you really feel incentivized to go out and meet these demands?
So I'm not far enough. Like, this game is very slow paced and there's a lot to do and dig into. I'm not at the point where I'm getting like super good rewards yet.
Okay.
So a lot of my quests haven't really been like typical. They haven't been the tired and true of like, do this and I'll reward you. Yeah. It's like, do this because you're my son, or like, do this because you're supposed to. I'm not going to reward you.
Sure.
Which I think is a cool build.
Yeah.
Why does the knight like us?
It never really specified. He was kind of going through town, and when I went up to him, he was like, "Hey, good to see you again." And it was kind of just like,
we have a pre-established relationship.
Pre-established,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm one of the younger guys in town, I guess, and saw something in me. I don't know.
Doing these quests, do you feel like you're learning more about the immediate characters, or more about the surrounding world and situation? Like, are they good in terms of context?
So, again, I'm not far enough. This no matter what is going to be a divisive game. From the way you play it, how demanding and how simulator-like it is, to the story. You know, are you into 1400s historical Europe? Like,
with no magic.
No magic whatsoever. Like, if you're not into that, this is not the game for you. End of discussion. Like, don't even try it. If you do not like history, if like that is not your thing, then I could not recommend this game. But, you know, if you love history, if you're into that, if you like, you know, historically accurate, like even Assassin's Creed, I think of, like, that stuff makes me interested in those time periods. So, like, if that stuff doesn't excite you, like, it'd be really hard to dive into this game, I feel like.
I guess I'm just trying to understand then, like, are you telling me that you're going to get the most out of this game if you just kind of enjoy being in this environment with these restrictions,
yes,
simulating this thing, not so much like here are these crazy stories or anything like that, or this huge evolution of this character. It's more just kind of about soaking it in.
Yes, Ben, perfect way to put it, because it's like, sure, there's, you know, Game of Thrones style coups and rebellions, and this army is marching on this town, and people are getting like brutally murdered, like, no spoilers, but like some of this stuff is like very, very heavy and intense. But, you know, that's all well and good. Like, we've been down those types of stories before, so nothing new there.
Sure.
But what is something to praise is really just walking around in these environments and just soaking it in. Like, I get the same feeling in Assassin's Creed, and I know it's not gonna be 100% accurate, but like, just turning your brain off and really getting into the world is such a fun thing. And just kind of thinking back, it's like, wow, like, people kind of lived like this back then, you know? It's obviously not the real deal, but it's like, you can kind of get a sense of how people lived in this time, and it's fascinating to me.
The thing that I worry about when people sometimes talk about games that are striving to be a little bit more realistic is that sometimes I'm willing to accept that, and I think that could be really good and really well done.
Yeah. But
sometimes I feel like, no, this is just bad and clunky.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really feeling like I'm a knight with a heavy sword. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of mumbling around. It's not doing a good job of giving me the sensation. It's too complicated. It's not. So how is the combat? I guess what I'm ultimately trying to say is, like, does the combat work well enough for you to enjoy it?
Steep learning curve.
Okay.
Very steep.
Can I hack someone once and he's dead?
Not really.
I need that.
I know. I'm with you, dude, because these fights, they're long. These are long fights. Now, again, I'm early on, you know, maybe I'll get powered up.
Yeah.
But, again, clothing, like I was saying earlier, is such a big deal. So if you're wearing light armor, then you're vulnerable to stabs. And if you're wearing heavy armor, then you're vulnerable to, like, smashes, like hammers and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like in combat, if I don't have the tool to counter the armor, you know, like, basically I'm trying to say, you don't want to run headfirst into combat in this game, is basically what I'm saying. Combat is not optional, but, like, kind of like a last resort.
I love that, actually. I think that's cool.
There are battle moments that are crazy, and, like, sometimes, you're going to be in a fight, you're going to have to do this, and maybe you'll have some, like, people with you, and that, like, there's some kind of smaller scale skirmishes of, like, 10 on 10 or something. Mm-hmm. But, like, even at E3 last year, when I played a huge battle of, like, a 10 on 10 or, like, 20 on 20 it was, or, like, a big number, my character was really powerful at that point in the game, but it was still taking so long to, like, whittle someone down. And I think that might, over the course of the entire game, grow a little stale. Like, it is really involved. It's really cool. There are, like, kind of For Honor style where it's like, all right, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, center, like, blocking, parrying, combos. Like, there's a lot to dig into here. It's just a very deliberate pace, pretty slow paced for the fighting. So, and first person combat, like, I don't care how good it is. I feel like no matter what, there's going to be that, like, run up close, run back, run up close, run back. Like, that weird first-person melee dance that we do is just so awkward.
Do you get any sense with the combat that you're just kind of still in the process with learning, and then maybe once you've had more time with it, these fights will go more quickly?
Yeah, for sure. Again, only 10 hours,
Sure.
90 to go. So I hope that will evolve. I also really hope the characters will evolve. There's, like, couple supporting characters that aren't fully fleshed out yet. Kind of feels just generic. Kind of a basic word there, but
Generic in what way? Like they're not really
Just-
contributing anything to.
Just standard boilerplate of like the noble knight now who is kind of like taking us under his wing, or like the ruler of this one city trying to protect his city, like at the cost of maybe other cities.
Sure,
Like just
I get where
kind
you're
of
coming
these
from. Yeah,
these
yeah.
archetypes that are, tired and true, but
So Kingdom Come, the way that you're approaching it right now is it's something that you're kind of chipping away at. It is a game that sounds very dense.
very dense.
And so my question to you is, when you have pockets of time to revisit it, how are you kind of feeling about that? Or you're like
scared
oh
to
man,
go back.
time to dive back in?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of like an excitement, I'm ready to go back into this world? And
Both. I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good about it because I grew up with like Morrowind, right? That like PC style. Like it's weird. I always weirdly get more immersed in PC games. I don't know what it is. For whatever reason, when I play a PC, like a Deus Ex or something,
I mean, you do have your face up in it.
that's probably part of it. But at the same time, I sit really close to my TV.
Sure.
So I don't know what the deal is, but there's just
Yeah.
that PC RPG feeling that I'm getting of like the days of old, of the Oblivions and the Morrowinds, where I'm just like really in this world now.
yeah.
What we haven't talked about is the level of jank that is prevalent.
Yeah, an important thing to discuss.
When you talked about walking through environments, I was
Yeah.
like, do they hold up?
So I think it's a pretty game.
Okay.
I think the characters are not as impressive as the environments. I think
Got
the
it,
environments are very impressive. They're not like crisis level. They're not going to be like, whoa! But I booted it up and I said, wow, actually, yeah, this looks really good. Playing on max settings, ultra graphics, not lagging or anything, which is nice. But again, kind of, I always think of you, Kyle. Faces are good. Could maybe use a little work. But I've been reading a lot of headlines about the PS4 and the Xbox One versions being rough. So rough with glitches and just bad frame rate. And I've seen run the gamut. I've seen people teleport and weird stretchy heads. Like the videos going around right now of the bugs are crazy. But I feel like I've had this conversation so many freaking times over the years now, where a game comes out and there's a headline, there's a narrative, there's something about it, right? In this case, it's that it's buggy as hell. And I'm trying to think of a good example of like when a game came out, it was all about, it's all about that one thing versus like the game itself.
I mean, there are a lot of examples
Yeah.
like that. I mean, you could definitely argue that Battlefront 2, the narrative was about the loot boxes.
Right. That's all you really hear about is the loot boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
You couldn't. I think what you're trying to describe is you couldn't have any conversation about it without that coming in because it
Yeah.
was so dominant.
Yeah. But here I am playing on the PC version,
Right.
which has apparently had its share of problems. I haven't really encountered any,
Sure.
and I feel like this always happens to me. It's like
Yeah.
I'm playing a game and it's buggy as hell, but for no one else, or the exact opposite when it's buggy as hell for everyone,
Right.
and I'm like, running fine for me, no lag, good load times,
It
no
is difficult.
glitches, like.
And how do you incorporate that into a review?
Yeah,
Right.
especially when
Yeah.
everyone is talking
Yeah.
about how glitchy and buggy and janky this game is, and I haven't
Because you
really.
want to be accurate.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to be accurate, and
Yeah.
that happened to me with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where I saw a lot of reports that people were saying like, "Hey, this is crashing for me all the time."
Yeah.
And it crashed for me one time, and then I never experienced it again, and so it wasn't a huge issue for me.
Yeah.
But there were multiple reports that I saw people messaging me being like, "Hey, this is crashing me all the time. Why didn't you
Yeah.
talk about this?" And it's like, oh man, it's not that I don't want to, and it definitely, if it would have impacted my experience more, I would have.
Yeah.
But it's tricky. It's tricky
your
because
experience,
you don't like looking at it from their angle, right? You don't want to get into something and then not be aware
Yeah.
of the very real problems that could completely ruin your experience.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And on PC, they're like Steam, it patches like every day, whereas the PS4 and Xbox they take a while. They got to go through certification, patch certification, and all that. And the big headlines, man. Before this game even came out, the headlines were by the way, hot take.
Okay.
Why is this still a headline in the gaming world? Kingdom Come patch size 25 gigs. Like, why are we still talking about patch sizes? Is that a big thing? Like, I'm honestly, I don't understand.
I mean, I think there are optimistic and cynical ways that you can view this.
Okay.
I think a really extremely reductive, off-the-cuff answer, and it's extremely cynical, is like, oh, it's a big number, it's an easy headline. Whoa, can you believe how big this is? Does that indicate a bunch of problems? You know, it's sensational.
Yeah, sensational.
Sensational.
But as somebody on a more like optimistic angle, as somebody who is editing really long podcasts, sometimes my hard drive space gets eaten up really quickly, which is a problem I can solve for sure. But there are definitely times I'm installing a game or something, I'm like, oh, I'm out of space. Yeah. And so I have to go through my Steam list and figure out what I'm going to delete. And it's
I can
nice
imagine
having that information.
I can imagine having to download that too.
Internet speeds.
Internet speeds,
yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Internet speeds. But yeah, when it came out, it was like, 26 gig day one patch. And it's because the game is rewriting a bunch of code. I read into this. It's not like, we're adding 26 gigs of data. It's like, no, if we change some things in the game, it has to rewrite an entire chunk of the game. So when it downloads 26 gigs, it's downloading a big portion of the game that it's rewriting, so they only changed a bit here and there, but it has to download that giant chunk.
But it will replace that chunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just, basically what I was saying was the console versions are taking a while to get all those patches going. The PC version is quicker.
So Huber, I'm scared to hop into this.
It's intimidating.
Well, hold on. The other thing, the other big headline about this game is the creator and the controversy he's caused.
Yes.
And Waypoint publishing an article that's here's why we're not talking about this game.
Whoa. I haven't read that.
I haven't read it. See, I haven't read it either, which is why I'm apprehensive about even bringing that up. But we're on the topic of the headlines that are predominant over this game in particular.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a talking point too.
For sure.
I mean, is it do you not want to look into it as you're doing the review? As you're
No. I mean, I know that the creator is has talked about Gamergate before and is big on that. But I always go back to Assassin's Creed, where I think of, a team it's big, It's not one person is making this game. It's not like a Super Meat Boy or whatever, a small couple people. It's no, this is a huge game with probably 80 to 100 people working on it. And I am aware of that, and I guess I'm too early to fully understand or fully know if that is going to impact it, because he does have the sole writing credit, so it's written and directed by him. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Daniel Vivera, I think is how I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce his last name, but I'm waiting to see how all the story plays out. I haven't really seen any interesting female characters yet. That's a big thing, but it's the 1400s, but it's well, are you going to use the 1400s as an excuse? So there's a lot to dig into that I can't fully comment on until I finish the story.
All right, I appreciate that.
But I am aware of it, and it's something I've noticed for sure.
I think it's really difficult, because I posted on Twitter that I was oh, hey, I'm curious about Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I got those messages and saw some of those things being thrown around, and I think if something makes you uncomfortable for any reason, you absolutely are not obligated to view or play it. But at the same time, I was soliciting opinions because I also haven't played it, and I don't know. Maybe you play it, and there are certain characters or certain representations that bother you as a reviewer, as somebody who is being looked at to issue an opinion on something. Maybe you see something in there and you feel compelled to comment on it. But I also feel weird commenting on something or saying yes, this is definitely bad without having that experience. I don't think that's a good trap to fall into. And even at 10 hours in, making those kind of statements.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you see something and you're just like, totally, absolutely.
There was like one or two instances where I kind of had a red flag. It's like, like the very beginning, the dad like smacks the wife on the ass. And I'm like, yo, 1400, did this go down? You know? Like, I don't know.
Can you imagine, like, this is when I say you have to be crazy to, like, write anything.
Right.
Like, the guy's writing down, like, he smacks her bottom. And just, like, grins to himself and, like, keeps writing, you know? Like,
so I was like, okay.
but then, it's all about...
But then I do want to talk about this one moment, but it's a really big spoiler. Can I bring it up?
Yeah, I just...
Because this kind of relates to it.
I have a question, though, and maybe it will help frame what you're going to say. With with this character, I mean... Especially with what you described with the beer thing, I'm kind of getting the impression, without having experienced myself, that it's like, hey, no, this is a bad guy. You, as the audience, are supposed to view this person as awful, and that's very different.
You would think that, but here's the spoiler.
Okay.
oh, no.
Your parent, like the town gets invaded.
Okay.
You watch your parents die. Okay. You flee. Then you come back. This is all within the first little bit of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. You flee because you're overwhelmed, but then like you're like, dude, I gotta bury my parents. I have to go back. So he gets back, and his mom and dad are there dead, which is traumatic as hell for anyone.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm reading into this. Again, I need to finish this game to really dive deep in, but he only acknowledges his dad in the scene. He comes back, his mom and dad are both there.
Yeah.
And he only speaks to his dad.
What does he say?
He's like, basically like, I'm gonna avenge you, blah, blah, blah. Or
so
like,
they create this like nasty dad who's like, fetch me a beer.
Yeah.
And then like, he's like, Dad, I miss you. Like that is funny. That is.
So I was a little confused by it, but then of course, and it's just the doubt, man, okay? Like, you know, in the history of this guy, but then understanding there's like all these good, like I've met a lot of this team at E3s and stuff. They're really jolly people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women as well work there with them as well. But then like, so I get that and I'm really weirded out by it. But then there's also a scene where like the family is taking care of him, and there's like this really good scene with like the mother of the house, and they have like a really good conversation, and she seems like she could be a really good character down the line. I don't know, but I just thought it was a really weird moment when like both your parents are dead and you're only acknowledging like doesn't even like look at his mom, doesn't even say like I miss you, Mom. It was strictly to the dad.
Especially, like, it'd be one thing if there was no mom at all.
Yeah.
But it's like you make the effort to include this character, and then the same traumatic thing happens to both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds off.
Seemed
for
weird.
Sure.
Seemed
I mean,
weird.
like, I go through the same doubt. I understand and I appreciate your doubt. But at a certain point, you have to call something out for how you see it.
If it's standing out to me that much, like something I noticed.
My question to you, right, is somebody who is covering games, giving opinions about them, sometimes has access later than other people or has information later. You know, you're bombarded by all this stuff that is issuing opinions on the things that you're covering. Are you worried that seeing those things has skewed your perspective a certain way, or is that not something you worry about?
I never worry about that.
Okay.
My first loyalty is to the game itself. You know, I try to really drown out everything. Now, but at the same time, I am aware of the creator's history, and I'm aware, I guess it's impossible not to be aware of it, especially when I do notice storytelling like that, where the character doesn't even acknowledge his dead mother right in front of him. Kind of stood out. But yeah, my first loyalty is the game. If I notice more stuff, I'm like, basically it's kind of just there in the back of my mind. Sure. You know, playing the game, reviewing the game as fairly as I can, but if that trend continues of exclusion maybe or misrepresentation, like I'm going to call it out. But still a lot of game left to go.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm
Me
curious,
too. Me too.
If it will be a trend or if it'll just be a weird incident in this very large game.
Yeah.
But
And what else is ridiculous and scary for me is like 1400s. You know? So it's like society and times have changed over the years.
Right.
But the last thing I want to do is let that be an excuse, you know?
Yeah, but I mean,
it's
at the
like,
same
yeah,
time,
it's historically accurate because of
Yeah.
the way people were treated, like certain people were treated back then, you know, women, of course, back in the 1400s.
right.
But seems kind of unfair to use that as an excuse.
Totally.
Fair enough point. Assassin's Creed Origins, ancient Egypt, Aya, one of the greatest Assassin's Creed characters ever. She's amazing. Ancient Egypt, you know?
Yeah, but I mean,
Or other Assassin's Creed, dude. I think of like Liberation and
I think
Syndicate.
about Mad Men, right?
Yeah.
And Mad Men is a lot of like, we're gonna show women just being treated despicably, based on this time period that we're in, based on this environment. But I never like. I think being able to identify intent and to identify what the story is about, like, to me, Mad Men is a show about despicable people. Wolf of Wall Street is a movie about despicable people. I think there is value in presenting people as despicable. I don't even think you necessarily need some broader thing, but you have to take a look at it and you have to be able to identify, what is this trying to say? Is it just, you know, putting a magnifying lens on people that are terrible, or is it trying to like prop this thing up, or is the message confusing and that somehow makes it worse?
And I think the confusion was because, like you guys were saying, with the dad slapping her on the bottom, like I could write that off, like, oh, he's just a bad guy.
Right, but then you
but
get
it's
this
when the
other
son,
message,
who
yeah.
is supposed to be the main character and like the good character, like this is the player character, you're playing
Right.
a good noble guy. When he,
We might have to talk about the butt slap, Huber.
yeah,
Because I feel like not all butt slaps are bad. What's the context of the butt slap?
she's like going to prepare dinner or something, and he's like, ha ha ha.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where they're outside and she's going inside to do some chores or make some dinner.
Yeah.
But then you read the historical thing of like women prepared food at that time, and that was their main role in society. And like the historical whatever that job is, the historian.
Historian?
The historian
Yeah.
is a woman that worked on this game. So it's like lot to dig into. I don't want to read anything. All I'm trying to do is give the game the fairest shake and call out things as I see them.
Sure. Cool.
So tricky.
I would
tricky
really,
thing.
I think what would be extremely valuable is to get you back on once
Definitely.
you finished.
100%.
And be able to come back and be like, hey, this is how I saw it. Now I have total context for what I'm...
Yes. Perfect. I'm gonna finish. I'm 100% done with my other review that I was working on today or tomorrow. I'm mid writing it, so I'm like halfway through the writing process, and then I'm back all in on Kingdom Come.
Could do one of those cheap things that an anime will do is like give you a flashback with added information, and then you see him crying about his mom. Like way late into the game.
Yeah.
It's just like they take you back there.
Yeah.
Just like, wait, that wasn't the whole scene. He cried at the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They can
And-
fix it. Patch it in. 30 gigs.
Patch it in. 30 gigs.
30 gig, just one note flashback.
Yeah. And again, I always give the benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, yo, there's a lot of people working on this game. Like, we'll see if they really go down this road.
Yeah.
And I think that one moment was so jarring and stood out to me so much because I'm a big baby. I'm a mama's boy.
Yeah.
If my mom was dead on my dad, it wouldn't be like, it's dad, I'm so sorry, I love you, dad. It'd be like mom and dad. Mom, dad,
Yeah.
both. Mom, dad.
Mom first, though, for sure.
She was on top,
Oh, okay.
of the dad.
They piled them up.
Yeah, so
To
it's
just
like, Mom,
sequential order.
it's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
It felt off. So
I mean, it sounds off. It really does.
Yeah.
And, I respect the thought process that you're going through. You're just calling out weird things, and that is eventually going to be formed into a more complete opinion later. Like
Yeah.
that's all it is. That's gonna
I
happen.
guess maybe the main character isn't so good. I wonder if that's maybe the twist in the turn later on, is that the main character might be a bad guy too? That would be
like
incredible.
idolizing. The reason why he did that that way is because he's idolizing his father or something, and wants to like have those
because
bad
then
traits.
because when you go to the bar too, he makes some like lewd comment about meeting the barmaid later on in the night. Like, haha, we're gonna meet up later, like sexual undertones. Mm-hmm. She's into it, but it just kind of shows more of his character, I guess. The way he like calls it out.
It's so, yeah.
And it's one of the first things you learn about him. It's like one of the first quests, you know, going to this bar, getting a beer for your dad, and like hitting on the barmaid.
So, I think adding a narrative to a simulation makes it so complicated.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't know, like, what is aiding the narrative and what is meant to be like, oh, this is all historically accurate. Like,
Yeah.
there is a really weird balance there.
Yeah. I feel like they have the main historical narrative of like the rebellion and the people conquering and stuff, and then you're just this fly in the wheel. You're just this random guy who gets caught up in it all. I mean, that is the premise, basically, but
Yeah.
long way to go, everyone.
Long way to go.
We will
Okay.
see. We will see.
30 hours if he's Russian.
Yes.
Within Kingdom Come, how much agency do you have to shape that character? Like, is the game pretty much saying this is who he is, or are you kind of given some freedom to, express yourself how you see fit?
Really, the only thing I've seen so far is how you choose to speak to people in terms of, do you want to try to charm them or intimidate them or like outsmart them, I guess. There's really, you have like three options. I forget what that other one's called, but there's like charm, intimidation, and one other one. So that can kind of lead to things.
But otherwise,
yeah,
this
there's
is who you are.
tons of cutscenes, and
Sure.
this is who you are, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, long way to go.
Long way to go.
That's all I can say. Simulator. There's like lock picking, which is really crazy, and that's the thing. Being in this world is really fun. And I also wanted to say, to bring it back to the bugs, buggy and janky are two different things to me.
Okay.
The PC version, oddly enough, have not encountered really any bugs, but this is a janky game. Jank as in like awkward animations, weird kind of movement, that first-person melee dance that we were talking about. So the whole game has this level of jank to it, but in terms of technical bugs and stuff, while the console versions I hear are pretty bad, I haven't had any issues on PC.
Bug to me is like, I can't do what I need to do, and jank is just, this doesn't feel how I would expect it to. Yeah. Or awkwardness, as you said. We never do this. Mm-hmm. We never go back to back with somebody for impressions.
Okay.
But there was a lot of doubt, there was a lot of questioning, some heaviness with Kingdom Come.
It's a very heavy game, dude. I'm like,
and I think that's good.
Because I'm not an expert on these subjects, guys. I try to live a positive life and love people and love
being
games.
True to yourself.
Yeah,
that's all you can do, man.
So I always feel,
don't freak out too much.
I always feel weird because it's like, who am I to even accuse or say anything regarding these sensitive issues?
I don't think you're accusing anybody, right? Like you're just saying this
in general.
This feels off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even me saying it feels off is kind of like an accusation.
Sure.
Almost.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm no expert, and I'm just trying to be honest. That's all I can do.
Tell me about Dragon Ball Z Kai.
I have a question for you guys, actually.
Yeah.
Before we dive into this.
This I'm an expert on.
Okay. I don't want to go down the Dragon Ball Naruto road. Okay. I don't want to go down this road, but we're gonna peek down the road. Okay. I'm rewatching
What is this road?
Okay, here's the road. Dragon Ball Z is a lot about just getting stronger and fighting people.
Yeah. No message, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Naruto really develops their characters and dives into the emotional aspects of just life from all angles. from the Hokages all the way down to the fishermen and sushi people, you know? You see life.
Sure.
Never really get that in Dragon Ball Z. My question to you is, does Dragon Ball Super dive into more of the humanity of these characters? Or is it still very much get strong, fight the next person?
I'd say Vegeta is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is,
I think
we're
you
going to
can-
talk about that beautifully. Perfect.
Okay. All right.
I think
Good
you can talk. I think Vegeta is a good thing to bring up, but I would argue that Dragon Ball Super dives way less into the humanity than Dragon Ball Z did.
Okay.
Because I think, like, specifically if you're talking about, like, Frieza and her
Yeah.
relationship with races that she saw as
His.
lesser, like Saiyans and
His.
Namekians and things, or just, like, characters that I feel like they have a right to power. There are some, I'm not saying they're, like, incredible or super well developed or anything, but in Dragon Ball Z, I think you could definitely argue themes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time in Dragon Ball Super where it's like, we're just having a good time.
Yes.
For,
And
like, entire storylines, we're
Exactly.
just having a good time.
and that's what I want to say. Is there's nothing wrong with that. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So Dragon Ball Kai, I have been watching so much. I am at Frieza versus Goku. Frieza is now at about a third of his power.
Wait,
He's like, I'm gonna charge up to 50%.
I forgot about
Yeah.
this part, dude.
He's like, I'm gonna charge up to 50%.
about that.
He says that'll be enough to grind you into cosmic dust.
Nice line. I like that.
Yeah. Dude, some really good lines I forgot over the years. But that's where I am.
yeah.
And I love Dragon Ball so freaking much. It's got some problems that has, like, some parts of it that haven't aged well. I really don't like Captain Ginyu body swapping. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, there's
love
like
it.
Frieza fighting Goku.
Yeah.
Frieza's fighting Goku. And there's an episode, like, middle of the battle when they start kicking it up a notch. Like, we're not playing games anymore. There's this whole thing of, like, remember Ginyu gets turned into a frog?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember he takes Bulma's body?
No.
He takes Bulma's body. She's the frog then hanging on to, like, the pod race thing that they have. They get there. Ginyu's there. Then they meet up with, like, Piccolo and Gohan and Krillin. And, like, Bulma, you're acting weird. Like, this is weird.
And real Bulma's a frog the whole time?
Yeah, and Frog is, like, trying to talk to Gohan. Like, hey, it's me. And then Gohan thinks it's Captain Ginyu as the frog. I'm just like, dude, I cannot believe this is Kai because I thought it was filler.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that not only happens in Dragon Ball Z, but I'm also experiencing in Super.
Yeah.
And I know you are very sensitive to Super spoilers, so I'm not going to do that. But just this persistent problem with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super where they have something that they're saying this is the real threat, and, like, you think about Frieza
Yeah.
and you think about how tyrannical Frieza is and how they want build-up.
Yeah.
I feel like they overdo it. Like, you've got a good thing going on with
Yeah.
Frieza. We don't need all of these other guys. We don't need
Totally.
all of these other battles. We don't need... There's just too much. Like, get to the point a
Well, that's
little
why
bit quicker.
Kai is so beautiful, because the buildup has been flawless, dudes. Oh my god. Okay, so first, like, to bring it all back, dude, we start with Raditz, right? Which is this beautiful opening to Dragon Ball Z.
It's also lightning fast.
It's so fast.
Yeah.
And, like, I forgot, too, we see Bardock dying at the hands of Frieza in the first episode, which sets up this, like, huge overarching trajectory and mission, right? Dude, Bardock, like, all the Saiyans chart, like, that scene is iconic, dude, legendary. Frieza's just laughing
Yep.
and does the one
Yep.
finger, like, giant destructive ball towards them, and they're all just like, ah! As Bardock's, like, dying and fading away, he's like, Kakarot, and, like, has a vision of Kakarot facing Frieza. And he's just, as he's dying and being, like, melted away, he just smiles. Like, a really emotional opening. Then you get Raditz coming, who's, like, his brother, and we start learning about all these Saiyans,
And what I love-
Goku's sacrifice, and the uneasiness with Piccolo.
What I love about the Raditz introduction, and you really lose that so quickly in Z, is you remember when he lands and it's just him and this one farmer who's trying to figure out what's going on?
Yeah.
And because he's only just intimidating and destroying one person, it feels way more intimate rather than like, I'm here, look, I destroyed a city already.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And I really
scale.
miss that with a lot of the villains.
Yeah.
And
the reliance on their scouters.
Yeah.
So this is a huge plot point, all the way from Raditz to Frieza. Huge. Like, this is having repercussions now, Goku versus Frieza. The Earthlings can sense power levels. So, like, Piccolo, all them, they have the ability to sense your power level. Whereas Raditz, Vegeta can now sense power levels. He learned it. But Raditz, Nappa, the Ginyu Force, Frieza, they have to see you or use their scouter. They can't feel you. So, like, there's a scene when Goku's fighting Frieza and the smoke goes up and Frieza's, like, firing through the smoke, and then Goku's like, he's like, oh, he can't see me. Like, these guys he can't sense power levels. Like, good to know. So then he does that sick, dude. Oh my God, the best moment so far. He's like, Goku gets knocked under the water and, like, Frieza's above him, and Goku's under the water, and he's like, oh man, I wonder how Master Roshi's doing. Like, haven't done this in a while. And he's underground, and he just, he does Kamehameha, and he does like 2 balls of Kamehameha, right? And he sets him there. Do you remember any of this?
No.
Dude, it's the best. So he sets the 2 Kamehameha balls under the water.
There's never been a Kamehameha ball.
Yeah, there's like 2 of them.
Okay.
And he like swims away, and he's like, all right, launch. Like, launches one, and Frieza like freaks out. And then he launches the other one, and Frieza thinks, obviously, that he's right there. And Frieza's like, oh, yeah. Goku, out of nowhere, from, like, the top, dude, comes and, like, double drop kicks Frieza in the face. Like, both feet on his face. Like, one of those huge blows. By the way, Dragon Ball Z, the original, the progenitor, the OG, feeling the hits. Dragon Ball Z started
the close-up,
that.
right? And you see the impact of it's funny.
Yes. So, I love the power level thing. I love them always reading things on the scouter. Like, that's such a big thing. What's really cool is Gohan and them figure it out a long time ago that the Frieza and them can't sense battle power. So they have a moment where they fight Dodoria and Zarbon and stuff, and they blast all the scouters. Or a Namekian does it, actually. They destroy all the scouters.
What, like Dende?
One of the village elders.
Oh, cool.
They like blast all the scouters away, so there's no scouters left. So then when they call the Ginyu Force, they're like, yo, make sure they bring some scouters. Which I think is really cool. Just like that reliance on the technology, I think was so cool.
Because it's just a limit in a world that very much needs limits. Like now it's like we can get anywhere in any universe immediately, you know. And
limitations.
You want some obstacle that isn't just beams and punches and kicks.
Yeah.
Something that I want to pose to you that I'm curious about, because you're right in the middle of it, and something that is like driving me absolutely insane. The anger and the performance from Goku during Frieza, that fight, the reason why I think it's so incredible to me and why it left such a mark on me is because you really get this sense of anger and loss from Goku when Frieza kills Krillin and how much that means to him. And then like just all of this stuff, like Goku can't contain it, and that's what pushes him over the edge. Where I'm at with Goku now, I feel like, dude, do you care about anything? Like, you're fighting because you like to fight and you're really strong, but there's nothing kind of underpinning that fight that's making me invested in your character. Where Vegeta has that sometimes. It definitely comes through, particularly with his rivalry with Goku. And I think, like, with the Majin Vegeta stuff, that's really emotional and really good. But, like, after the Frieza saga, to me, we just kind of lose it.
I agree. And that's always been the culmination.
With Goku, I mean. Yeah,
that's always been the culmination to me, because this time going through, I really noticed how badass Gohan is. I always underappreciated him as a kid. I thought he was annoying. I was like, dude.
Stupid haircut.
It's like, Gohan, get out of here. I don't care about you. I'm a young teenager and you're a crybaby. Like, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, dude, Gohan's growth. Whoa. Gohan going against like Frieza Form 3, like holding his own. It's like, shit, this is sick. But the biggest emotional payoff, I'm glad you brought up Vegeta.
Yeah.
There's a moment when Vegeta dies by Frieza, and he's dying, and it's his dying wish. He's like tearing up, crying.
Yeah.
Like maybe the most emotional scene in Dragon Ball Z history. Vegeta's dying there dead. And we finally get that Naruto-style emotion that I'm looking for, right? I'm sorry. This is not a Dragon Ball versus Naruto war. They're both 10s. You can have 2 10s.
We only peaked on that road. We're not going down.
Yeah, they can. They can
Just a little peek on the
they can
road.
both coexist. So Vegeta's telling him the history of planet Vegeta, and we see that flashback when Vegeta's a kid just ruthlessly killing people. We see his dad. We see Nappa with some hair, only for a brief second. They're all just smiling and
I
laughing.
don't remember this at all.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
And then we see like Vegeta basically bawling his eyes out, saying, "We've been used. That's all we are to him, are just puppets to destroy." And he begs Goku to feed into his Saiyan anger. He's like, "This is who you are. You're a Saiyan." And Goku refuses to accept it. He's like, "I'm a human." He refuses to tap into that Saiyan nature, obviously, until Krillin dies. I'm not there yet. I'm like an episode away from that big moment.
Right.
But just this plea was so epic. I was getting so emotional. I was like, this is it. This is the culmination. This is the peak of just, well, I guess what I want to say is too is like that's kind of the whole premise, how you were saying about Goku, right? How there's kind of nothing there.
Well,
I feel like it's basically at this point just like he's a Saiyan and he loves to fight.
yeah, and I think,
That's-
but what's weird to me about Goku is like you have him as a little kid and he's this terror, he's this Saiyan menace, and then he, bonks his head and he becomes good. And to me, there was this element of like Goku being kind of this, he valued being good above all else. Like
Yeah.
he really adored people being good and wanted to protect people because they were good.
Yeah.
And it was very generic, but he was like just this strong figure of light. And now that's kind of faded to where he's just kind of like this bumbling idiot that really likes fighting because it's fun and I'm going to reject all else. Like, it's like he doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I feel like when he saw tragedy, you really got a strong reaction from him, and I'm just not seeing that in the same way anymore.
I think it's because the stakes were higher. You have so many people dying and coming back to life now. I mean, these people have died. So, like, what could they possibly be afraid of? They've already died and been killed. Their friends have been killed. Like,
Well, what's interesting is like Vegeta is pretty much like right there with Goku, and I think he's a lot more interesting and makes way more interesting decisions a lot of times.
yeah.
I don't know.
And I wonder if that's just because Vegeta's always chasing Goku to, like, catch up on power level, when Goku's just, like, retired in a weird way. I know super obvious. I know he's fighting, and I know Cell and Boo. Goku fights, but, like, I feel like after Frieza, he's like retired in a weird way. He's done it all. He avenged his entire species. He's like saved Earth. Like, that's the end game, man. Like, I'm gonna walk off into the sunset and be a Super Saiyan. The legend is done. It's over. Like,
There's a lot.
GG.
Oh, there's a lot I want to talk about.
I know.
You mentioned Gohan and being more attached to him. Thinking back to like the Namekian saga, something that I actually really liked is kind of how they used Gohan to keep Krillin relevant, because obviously it's like, okay, Goku's going to keep getting stronger.
Love that bond.
And Krillin can't keep up, but, whereas you had this Goku Krillin partnership before where they were a little bit more equivalent and a little bit more relatable to each other, now you're seeing that shift to his son, and I thought that was a really good pivot
Chills.
and use of that character, and I loved how involved Krillin still was. And what drives me nuts is you kind of see the same thing happen with Gohan, where he just skyrockets in power and Krillin gets left behind.
Yeah.
And I still don't feel like they really know what to do with Krillin.
Dude, I love that you brought that up, because there's this moment in the Saiyan saga when they ambush Nappa and Piccolo and Krillin like do some major damage to him.
Nice.
And Nappa's like full hurling towards Gohan on the ground, and Gohan is supposed to like blast Nappa, but he freezes because this is like his first encounter. He's green, he's rough, like he panics. And like that to me is the first interaction of Krillin and Gohan like teaming up, and the way that builds over time, because Krillin is like, Gohan, do it! Like, what are you doing? But then like obviously Piccolo dies, and it's like Krillin and Gohan left, and they're trying to do their best. And then obviously they go to Namek together with Bulma, and like Bulma's kind of the tech and like obviously not a fighter. So Krillin and Gohan have to go around and like collect the Dragon Balls together, and just their partnership is one of the highlights for sure.
Yep.
I love it. So good.
That was a good burst of energy.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Kai. It's perfect. Perfection. I'm on to like episode 44. So Kai.
Nice.
Really good. Going
Yeah.
from Raditz to Frieza fight. 44 episodes. Sign me up.
I'm not sure how Kyle did it, but for me, like, I watched a little bit of Dragon Ball Z Kai, but I didn't do what you're doing where you're going through the whole thing and then
Yeah.
you're going to go into Super. I pretty much just went into Super. And so I'm curious, now that you're kind of doing them back to back,
Yeah.
once you get to Super, how you feel about it.
Totally.
And the new things that it brings to the
I'm
table.
very excited. I saw both of the movies, Battle of the Gods, Resurrection F.
Are you going to watch that? Because they recount those movies in the anime. That's
I'm
the first two
going to
arcs.
watch all the
Okay.
anime.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, man.
And I think even the filler too. I heard about Yamcha and baseball, man. I got to watch that.
I think that is my favorite episode of Super.
Yeah.
That filler episode.
But
Yeah.
like some of
Oh,
the
it's so good.
thumbnails I see though for the filler episodes, I'm like, there's no way this is canon. You know, it is. It's like not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Mr. Satan with Super Saiyan hair. I'm like, skip.
Oh my god.
know, like,
yeah.
Any of the Saiyaman stuff,
Yeah.
No. Saiyaman filler, no.
Just really good, like, kills too. Like when Vegeta kills Dodoria.
Yeah.
Dude, okay.
Anytime-
First of all, can we talk about Vegeta's body count? First of all,
Sure.
Dodoria, Zarbon, every single member of the Ginyu Force.
That's all Vegeta?
All Vegeta. Vegeta kills Dodoria. He kills Zarbon. Then he kills Goldo, surprise attack, because Goldo's fighting Gohan and Krillin. Vegeta, cheap shot in the back of the neck, cuts his head off.
Oh, yeah.
Then Goku.
Don't remember that kill.
Then he gets messed up. Goku comes, weakens Raccoon and Birder. I'm doing the American names. I watch in Japanese, but it's like Buddha. It's weird seeing the new names in Japanese. So Goku takes him out, like Raccoon and Birder, and then Jace goes to find Captain Ginyu. Vegeta kills them while they're down. Like stomps on Raccoon's neck, blasts Birder. Goku's like, they couldn't even move. Like, why are you killing them? He's like, they could have come back. You're too soft. It's so
I want
good.
a poster
So many kills.
in my room that just has a giant Vegeta, and then up the top it just says Vegeta body count, and then
Yeah.
it's everybody. It's the entire
everybody.
list.
Yeah.
So many kills.
Too
Rack
good.
him up.
Too good.
Moving on. Kyle, you always bring some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And one to me is definitely more surprising than the other. Both are good, but
Okay.
one's more surprising than the other. Let's do Jazzpunk.
Yeah.
Jazzpunk.
What is Jazzpunk, and why did you decide to play it now?
Jazzpunk is, I'd call it a first-person adventure game.
Okay.
I think I remember watching somebody play it back at game trailers, like Justin Spear era game trailers. I don't think it's a new game.
No.
But I think it was released on PS4 last year.
I'm thinking like 2013, 2014,
Yeah.
something like that.
It's kind of visually interesting, and what's appealing to me about it, Ben, is these kinds of games that don't have a gameplay loop. These kinds of games that I'm not fighting the same thing throughout the entire game. I'm not doing the same, solving the mysteries the same way. I'm not doing the same puzzles throughout this entire game. It's you're moving through these environments, and there's new things to do the entire time. I love a game like that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like VR games in that way, where it's just like, okay, and here's the next thing you're doing. It's like, cool.
I too enjoy that.
Yeah.
Once in a while, though, with those types of games, like What Remains of Edith Finch is a game I really like. But sometimes when I'm frustrated about when I'm going through these environments, and it's always something new, and sometimes the different areas that you're in are radically different from each other. sometimes what ends up happening to me is there are some sections that I think are really strong and I love, and other sections that I don't really care for as much. Not necessarily that they're bad, but because they're so different, I end up being like, oh, I wanted a little bit more of this and a little less of that.
Yeah.
Do you get any of that with Jazzpunk?
So no, what's cool is, Ben, is that I think there's only like 5 levels, but they're huge. And so the first level is there's a huge building in front of you, and you can go straight into it and keep the mission going. But there's just so much to do in the park and the streets around it. If you like talk to this frog, he's like, hey, I need the Wi-Fi password for this place. And then for some reason it becomes like a Frogger game, and you're like trying to get him across the street. And then like he's like, okay, now we're hacked in. And like you put on this headset, and then you like try to like with your tongue try to catch the parts of the Wi-Fi code.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like, and that's just a tiny part. And if you hate that part, it's okay. You move on. It was like 2 minutes, There's just really cool. There's things like that where you like go into a whole separate game. Yeah. Like there's this one that's like, it's like GoldenEye, but it's like wedding themed, and so everybody has wedding themed weapons. And there's no trophy assigned to it. It has nothing to do with the story. It has nothing to do with you completing that level. It is simply there. It's simply there to find and play around with.
I just want to have to know these wedding themed weapons. Like, are we shooting flowers at people?
Champagne bottles.
Okay, that's good.
I think like a cake was like the one hit kill weapon. I actually don't remember all of them specifically, but yeah, they were cool weapons. So with this game, there are certain games that I've played. Like I think of Frog Fractions, for example. Sure.
Where when I think of I love Frog Fractions. I haven't played the sequel. When I think of the original Frog Fractions, like the appeal of Frog Fractions to me was just the excitement and the anticipation of how insane it was going to keep going. Not necessarily an overall story or theme or anything. Is that kind of what Jazzpunk is, where it's just kind of this roller coaster, or is there a cohesiveness there at all?
There's a little cohesion in that, like you have a mission. You're given a mission to accomplish at the beginning of each thing, and that can be kind of fun, It's just like find this person and get this information from him, or things like that. This is kind of cool, like spy narrative. And so that's really what's driving you through each part, and kind of the aesthetic and everything too, which is kind of cool. But the fun of the game is exploring the environments and peeking around. I would think that the developer's intent is for the humor to be a big part of it. Yeah. But to me, I'm not laughing. But it's still unified in its humor in a way, which is weird to say. It's still consistent, and so in its persistent comedy, it's at least an interesting take. It's an interesting world, and so even if I'm not laughing at your jokes, I'm still into the environment that you're creating.
Yeah, that is something that you bring up to me that is fascinating for me for a long time, and I struggle to articulate it, but there are a lot of times with games that rely heavily on humor where I am totally not laughing. Yeah. And I don't even necessarily think that it's all that funny, but the humor adds something. It gives it a style that is so different that I can appreciate it even if I don't think it's hilarious and want to go tell those jokes to my friends. And I think that's still really valuable, but it's way different than when I watch a movie or a TV show where it's all about did this trigger a chuckle in me. Like I'm not waiting for those triggers. It's just kind of like a wrapper that goes around the whole thing. Yeah. Like you were describing. Yeah. You mentioned the aesthetic, and I want to get back to that, but why are you playing Jazzpunk right now in 2018?
I think it was recommended by a friend. A friend told me you should play Jazzpunk, and I downloaded it a while ago and just like didn't get to it until January, until I think after we did Game of the Year awards. I think that was like my first like. Okay, I went through Hellblade, I went through Wolfenstein 2, and it's like, give me like a little fun game, and I'm like looking through my library, it's like, oh, I'll play Jazzpunk now. Let's do Jazzpunk. Cool. It's a short one too, and so it was, and I actually, I like it a lot.
Okay, all right. You mentioned the aesthetic, adding a big part to the game. What is the aesthetic like?
It's very vibrant. It's colorful. Ooh. It is. It's such an appeal to me. I don't know. I guess you could call it low poly, but highly detailed. In that the textures aren't detailed, but the things in the environments are. You know what I mean? So if you are doing
I'm looking this game up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please do.
I need to see a picture.
You might help me describe it.
Okay.
in that you have low quality textures and low polygons, you're able to put more things in the world, and just I love that. I love a bathroom, and so
Yeah.
I love seeing more things in the bathroom that should be in a bathroom.
Wait, is this VR or no?
No.
Dude, this game looks not like I thought it looked. This is
Okay,
cool.
so help me. What did I do wrong? How did I explain this wrong?
I mean, it's first person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you said for that. So I thought.
I think he. I'm
I
pretty
call
sure
it
he
a
did.
first-person adventure game.
Oh,
was
okay,
the
then I
category
missed
put
that.
it in. What
Okay.
does Wikipedia call it?
Adventure video game.
Adventure. Okay, yeah.
So like a first-person adventure with. I don't even know how you describe this.
Yeah,
Look this
it's
game
cool.
up.
And it's unique. It doesn't look like another game.
Having seen screenshots of video of Jazzpunk, I did
Yeah.
feel a little bit bad being like, tell me what this looks like. It's
Yes.
not an easy task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like any game that's just like, oh, nothing else looks like this. This is its own thing. So yeah,
Dude,
Cool.
cool little game.
intrigued on this
Do you-
game. Oh, this is cool.
Do you think with something like Jazzpunk, because sometimes I think about like even with Frog Fractions, where it was that game to me was so much about the novelty and figuring out what it actually was, that when there eventually was a sequel, I'm still curious about it. I still want to know, but it's like, okay, now I'm going in expecting this insanity, and it's a little bit different. No matter what you do, the approach of it is a little bit different. You can't be caught off guard in quite the same way, I feel like. With something like this, where you played it, it was short, you had a good experience, are you just completely content with that thing on its own, or would you like to see them take another stab at this? Maybe not with all of the components, but maybe with like the style or the structure or anything like that?
No, it's been explored. Do something else next
You're
time.
good.
Yeah.
So you want something wildly different.
Yeah, exactly. But not wildly different in terms of design. I don't even know how you design this other than like, here's the environment I want and here's all the stuff I want in it. You know what I mean? You're not like designing what the jump is going to be like and how much ammo drops you should have around, and so it's its own weird, strange thing to make this kind of adventure game. And I'm sure there were many,
Kind of like in immersive sim.
I was immersed, Huber. I was immersed. There's no sim element in this at all, though.
I know. I don't know where the sim comes from. I guess if you're like Denton in Deus Ex, you're like in that world.
Yeah, you got
But you're not-
dialogue options.
But you're not feeling like simulated in this environment, I guess.
No, yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Immersive sim.
Thanks, PC Gamer.
Confirmed
Humanoid.
it. It's canon.
Love PC Gamer.
There are so many words. There are a lot. There's probably more, at least like definitely more than 10, maybe more than 20 words that I wouldn't say the other allies have ruined. Quite the opposite. But like when they're said,
Made notable.
I can't not think of your face. Like when I'm 80 years old, I will associate like no one is ever going to be able to say jolly to me without strong feelings of easy allies coming back. Ever. That'll never happen.
Good.
You've usurped Santa.
Yes.
You're now my first connotation with Jolly.
Take that, Santa Claus. I want to play Jazzpunk. How's the soundtrack? Is it jazzy?
Ooh, I'm pretty sure I was not listening to it as I played it. Yeah, for most of it. Yeah, because actually the way that when a character speaks, they have like in-game subtitles appear next to them, and the font is like taking up actual space within the world, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then I learned later on that like they were saying things other than those subtitles appearing in front of their faces, and because I'd be like missing something, I'm like, where are the subtitles? And you're like, I have to turn up the volume. I'm like, oh, you're talking to me. So yeah, I missed a lot in not listening to the audio in that game. But I got a podcast.
Yep.
Got to watch my TV shows.
Sounds like Mossman.
Yep.
Multitask.
Yeah.
Double dip.
You got to double dip. You got to accomplish more than one thing at a time these days.
I'll listen to Dragon Ball Z in English when I'm eating dinner, but then as soon as I'm done eating,
I
put subs.
have been resorting to that myself, where if I'm just watching the thing, because sometimes you just need to get more than one thing done.
Yep.
We're human beings. All right.
Dub it.
We were having a good time.
Yeah.
We were having a really good time.
Yes.
This podcast, we've been all over the place. But now we're going to have a bad time. You know why? Because what happened on the last episode of Frame Trap, which Huber, you were a part of, we never broke out of the Frame Trap dimension.
Did nobody win?
No, somebody won. and we just did not break out.
Wow.
It was a gross neglect of my and our responsibilities as people who try to prevent the demons from destroying this world. And as a result, the demons were like, "You're not worthy to be graced with our presence to interact with it anymore. We're gonna get rid of this unless you say this one word that, of course, you're never going to say." But then Kyle Bossman, out of nowhere, of course, says it and brings us back. Now we got to deal with this frame trap realm again.
Oh.
It was usurped.
Oh.
It was usurped.
They didn't think we would say usurped,
They
huh?
didn't think.
Okay.
They didn't. Let me put it this way: they're being very antagonistic because we've been grossly neglecting our responsibilities.
Yeah.
They didn't think we were of usurped caliber.
Oh my god.
So hold on. If I didn't say it, they would have left us alone forever?
That's what they told me. That's what they told me.
Okay.
All right, so if you're watching this show, you have no idea what's going on. That was just a bunch of nonsense. But
We'll show them.
what we
Show
do
those
is to kind of break up the flow, have a little bit of fun. We have this game that we always do, and it'll be a game where my panelists will compete. So in this instance, Kyle Bossman will be competing against Michael Huber. They'll be answering some questions. And this is also the part where we'll talk about our lovely sponsors who are contributing to the show and helping us out. I do want to give you guys what we're going to be quizzing you on today.
Dragon Ball Z power levels.
No.
Damn it.
Maybe we can do something with Dragon Ball Z in the future, but not today. We're doing, so there are some long-running series, and my favorite caught in a frame trap that I've done is this Sonic character real or fake?
Oh, this will be fun.
That was my favorite one. So that's not this one, unfortunately.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was. I'm saying that was my favorite one that I've done. But kind of in the vein of that is kind of in the vein of that. There are a lot of long-running series that have many, 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 many games.
Yeah.
I've picked out some games. I've got 7 of them. I want you to tell me if this is actually a game in the series or if I made it up.
Okay.
So before, when we did this, I would have a set of questions for one panelist and a set of questions for the other.
Yeah.
That always kind of ended up being a little bit unbalanced. I felt like one person was a little bit more favored. So now I've just got 7 of them, which I believe is the most we've ever done on the show.
Nice.
And you just have to be the first to tell me if it's real or fake.
Okay.
Now, once again, you're going to have to listen to the name of the game, whisper HOTTAKE. The first to whisper HOTTAKE gets to answer. If you get it wrong, it doesn't go to the other person. At that point, it's just gone.
Oh. So there's no downside to saying HOTTAKE, though. We got to worry about our game balance here.
Yeah, Ben. If I have 3 points or something, I can sabotage basically. If I don't know it, I can just get rid of that point so Kyle doesn't get it.
Yeah.
All right, so this game balancing is pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
I think it should go to the other person.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think
It's
you're
gotta
right.
be the penalty.
Yeah, you're a little
think
more
you're right.
apprehensive about saying
Yeah.
HOTTAKE. Yeah.
That was bad game balance.
It's all right. We gotta
I must find a way to punish myself.
we gotta
The
appease
demons
the
will figure it
demons.
out.
We gotta appease the
will figure it
demons.
out.
You're right. It'll go to the other person, as it should. But before we get started, let's talk about our sponsors.
Yeah.
Our first sponsor, Greg, TheDarkKnight Kettering. Cool dude. Thank you, Greg. Another cool dude, Nate Kiellach, known on Twitch as Smoalgate. Thank you, Nate, for your support. Our next sponsor is Zen Market, which is a Japanese shopping proxy service, meaning that for only 300 yen per item, that's less than $3, you can buy games, anime, merch, and more directly from Japanese online stores. You can even bid in real time on Yahoo Auctions if you are looking for rare or used items. Plus, it's easy to buy things from multiple stores and consolidate them for free into one box before you ship them home. Sign up today and get a 300 yen bonus you can use toward your first purchase. It's easy to manage everything from shopping to shipping right from your account on Zen Market's website. Don't forget, don't pay more than you have to for that sweet Japanese booty. And helpful staff are always waiting to guide you on your journey should you need assistance. Find Zen Market on social media or just go to zenmarket.jp and check it out for yourself. Our next sponsor is Taker34. He says, expert quiz, what are games called when they don't have a single loot box in them? Either one of you know?
Is this a joke?
Might be a joke.
I don't-
Honest games.
Canceled.
That is a very good joke. Very good joke. Sorry, who was that?
That was Taker34.
Yeah, that's a good joke, Taker.
Make sure to not follow at Taker34X on Twitter unless you're currently working on a new Legacy of Kain game.
That's good stuff. That's all right.
Our last, but certainly not least sponsor is 2 Hours to Live, which is an interactive story for those who enjoy reading. The object of the story is to keep Jay O'Connor alive by guessing his next move correctly. If you answer the questions correctly, you keep Jay on track with the time in the story. If you guess incorrectly, you will cause time to be subtracted from his life. Be careful, though. Get too many questions wrong, the character will die, and the story ends. Your job, reader, if you choose to accept it, is to get Jay to the end of the story and reveal a not-so-expected ending. Check out 2 Hours to Live and other works at kg2entertainment.com.
Cool.
Love
You guys-
Choose Your Own Adventures.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Now I feel bad. Now I want to give you the Sonic one.
Because here's what I was confused by. When you said series, I thought you had like series of games that you typically do.
What do you mean?
So you introduced saying like, there's a bunch of series out there.
And this was continuing
yeah.
the Sonic series?
The Sonic series, yes.
That's not a bad idea.
You should bring it back.
I might use that.
Okay.
I might use that. That's good. All right. So, again, to clarify, these are games in long-running series that might either be real or fake.
Okay.
You have to tell me, be the first to whisper HOTTAKE into the mic after I say it. Okay, so this is from Pac-Man. The game name is Pack in Time.
HOTTAKE. Fake.
That's real. That's a point for Huber. That's a puzzle platformer.
Pack in Time?
It's a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, I'll let you take that one, Kyle.
Apparently,
I have no idea.
According to Wikipedia, it is a reskin of a game called Fury of the Furries, developed by Callisto, who, fun fact, did Nightmare Creatures.
Nightmare Creature.
And then they made a furry game?
No, this was pre-Nightmare Creatures.
Oh, okay.
This was pre-Nightmare Creatures, yep.
Yo, when are we going to get Dust in Elysian Tale sequel? When is that coming?
No idea.
That person made a Metal Gear Solid style game.
What? Oh,
That
yeah,
was
I do
them?
remember that.
Yeah, same
Okay,
developer.
okay.
Yeah.
The next one from the Super Monkey Ball series. Okay?
Okay.
Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll.
HOTTAKE.
Huber.
Fake.
Real!
Yes.
It's a point for Kyle.
Yes. Tyler.
Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll, a Super Monkey Ball game for the Wii where you could use the balance board to control the ball.
Oh, no.
That sounds janky.
Work on those abs, though.
All right. The next one is from the Contra series,
Okay.
Omega Contra.
HOTTAKE.
Kyle.
Fake.
That's fake.
Ooh.
Nice.
This is a hard game.
Was
Omega
there some
was
doubt
that,
there?
Yeah.
Was
there was
that
some
on
doubt there?
like Game Boy Advance or something?
Huh?
Omega Contra? So
that was
This
fake.
is fake.
That was
fake.
from Ben's imagination.
Yeah.
Duh.
Omega Contra is fake. All right. The next one is from the Banjo-Kazooie series.
Okay.
Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge.
Oh.
Huber.
That's real.
That is real. What platform was that on?
I don't know. I just read Kyle. I knew it. Yeah.
Oh,
Kyle gave it away. Kyle gave it away. Straight up.
So you were able to look at me and say HOTTAKE before I could do it.
I knew that you recognized the game. I saw it on your face. You recognized that game.
And if you
never even heard
if you
of
pay
it.
close attention, I'm struggling to remember the word HOTTAKE. I think I whispered something. Oh. Ooh.
It was just like a mess of noise, I feel like.
Yes.
What, Kyle, what is Grunty's Revenge on? What
Is that the Game Boy Advance
That's
game?
the Game Boy Advance
Yeah.
game. Correct.
Oh.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Oh, man.
I think that was like mental critical damage.
I know. I need like a poker sunglasses.
All right.
I've played bets against this man many times.
All right. The next one is from the Kirby series. Shield ready, Kyle Boston.
Oh my god.
Next one is from the Kirby series. Kirby Star Brawl.
HOTTAKE.
Huber.
Real.
Fake.
Damn it.
Oh, that's good, Ben.
Star Brawl. Dude, the stars.
I almost bid on
Sticker
it.
stars.
Yeah, I almost bid on that one actually.
Star Brawl, not a real title.
Because
in the Kirby
there's like a
series.
Kirby fighting game that's only them fighting.
There's Star Stacker.
Yeah.
Star Stacker
Wow.
and like, Brawl something.
Oh, contentious game today.
Are we down the last one?
No, we got two more.
Okay, all right.
The next one from the Wolfenstein series. Wolfenstein RPG.
HOTTAKE.
Huber.
Fake.
That's real.
Shit.
It's a mobile game, and did you play
I
like
knew it
Doom
was
RPG?
mobile. No.
No.
Yeah, so it's I haven't played it, but my understanding is that it is like that as well. So yeah, Wolfenstein RPG real. It's another point for Kyle.
Wow. To me, that one seemed like too crazy for Ben to make up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wouldn't give us that little thing for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me just make sure I've got my scoring right. So Pack in Time, you got wrong, Kyle,
Yeah,
right?
that was a Huber point.
So that was a Huber point. So that's 1 for Huber. Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll, you got wrong, Huber. That was a point for Bosman.
Yeah.
Omega Contra, you
I got that one
right,
right, yeah.
and that was a point for Kyle.
Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, you got right, Huber, so that was a point for Huber. Kirby Star Brawl, you got wrong, and so that was a point for Bosman.
Yeah.
So we have
Tied it up.
4 and no, it's 4 and 2.
Oh.
So Kyle, you have 4, and Huber has 2.
There's only
Okay.
one question left?
Yeah.
There's only one question
Oh,
left.
so I lose.
We got it. We're gonna do it
Formalities, though.
for the
Let's-
sake of
yeah.
for the sake of it.
I'll even take the hood off. I'm feeling good.
All right, this is from the Soul Calibur series. Soul Calibur, Sword of Destiny.
HOTTAKE. That one's real.
That is fake.
Damn it. I was so confident.
You were so
Maybe it's the is that the name of the weapon, right?
The name of the weapon, Soul Calibur.
No, but then there's the other one, right? Aren't there like two? Oh, it's Soul Edge.
It's Soul Edge. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Soul Edge. I liked to kind of give ones that were a play on other titles. So
Yeah, what was the PSP
there's
one?
Broken Destiny,
Nice.
and then there's another one. I think it's called like Lost Swords or something. So I just kind of mixed
Nice.
those two together.
It sounded good.
Kyle, that is a commanding win for you.
Yeah.
And going through it, I believe that we tallied everything correctly. So I think we can say with confidence that you are a winner. I want to exert a little bit of extra pressure on you as you take us out of the frame trap realm because
Yeah.
we disgraced the name of this game. Make it extra good.
Sure.
Make it extra good.
So I always like big time in anime when somebody does a lot of damage to another character and that character doesn't realize it, and then they just explode 3 seconds later. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a lot of damage
Okay.
to the wall, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you to not react to it until 3 seconds after that.
Okay.
'Kay.
Do we just have to instinctively jump on the 3
Take
seconds?
the damage. Take the damage after 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're out.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Dynasty Warriors 9 now.
Kyle busted some Dynasty Warriors right there.
Dynasty Warriors 9 is just kind of a bummer. All around, it's kind of a
Wow.
bummer.
Okay.
But
I feel like I've had that same feeling about Dynasty Warriors for like 7 years straight.
well, Huber, I feel like I kind of got really excited by what they were saying. It just was like, hey, they're completely changing how you interact with this game. You're going to be in this huge open world. You're going to be able to do all of these new things. Here's the most dramatic shakeup to Dynasty Warriors that we've had in a very long time, and that open world not only I feel like adds so little, it detracts from the things that I've personally enjoyed about Muso games. I'm certainly no Muso expert, but I've gotten increasingly interested in this style game for a while because there have been several that I've played that I've really enjoyed. But everything, you talked about jankiness. Dynasty Warriors 9 is supreme jank on so many levels.
That sounds like a great name for the game.
Supreme Jank.
Supreme
Dynasty
Supreme
Warriors
Jank.
9. Supreme Jank.
Extreme complete. Yeah. So there have been so many things. Like there was this emperor that I was trying to escort, and I guess my horse was in front of it.
Escort.
and I guess my horse was in front of it, and it just pushed the horse along the entire time. I've gone up to like armies of soldiers, and they'd just be running into each other, just like constantly, just terrible animation. I was supposed to go up to this guy and hit a button to accept a quest, and he didn't. I did a stream of it. You can watch this on the stream. He didn't appear for what felt like a minute. It might have only been like 30 seconds, but I go up and I'm like, why is this scroll floating here? This is weird. Like, it's pointing me here? Why is it here? And I would like kind of wander around, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, pop, there he is. And there's a ton of pop in like that. But with the idea of it, you see what they're going for, where you have all this stuff out in the world that you can do, like hunting. Okay, Hubert, this is where I want to look at you. You can go and you can hunt things like bears,
because this is
like
such
deer.
It's such a great direction for Dynasty Warriors to go. This kind of open world environment you can play in, whereas the other ones were very focused, as in like, rush through this environment to kill this guy or whatever.
Yeah, where. Exactly. It's like, here's your objective. Yeah. Here's the space that you have to do within this objective. Yeah. And they really incentivize you to do hunting for multiple reasons. Not only, like, crafting is a big deal. Like, you craft weapons, you craft items, you craft a bunch of stuff.
Are there loot boxes?
There aren't loot boxes, no. There are boxes in the world that you can find that will give you materials. Okay.
But no, like, currency you get and unlock a chest of random stuff?
Nope, this is all in-game stuff. These are all systems that are feeding into each other within the game. So you go and you hunt, you get the animals, you can make items from the materials that they give you, but there's also this guy who, as you hunt, you'll get hunting points, and you can cash that in for stuff. And so it's like, hey, please go out in the world, please find these monsters and engage with them. The hunting is so miserable. You're supposed to use the bow, because trying to fight them with your weapon, they'll like stun lock you, and it's really aggravating. But there have been so many hunts. Like, there was this bear I was hunting. It was the first time that I had seen a bear in Dynasty Warriors 9, where I just got a little ways away from him. I pulled out my bow. I kept shooting him in the butt, and he didn't even react. He just stood there the entire time, and I'm like, this isn't some fierce hunt against
strong
a huge
bear.
Beast. What?
No, he died.
He just pathetically died.
Oh, he died. Oh, I thought he was just like shaking off the arrows.
It was like
vulnerable.
The AI wasn't even aware that it was being damaged. He just kind of like kept sauntering along while losing chunks of his health.
That's horrible.
It's always horrible.
So wait, horrible. Are the hunts always realistic animals?
The things I've encountered so far: wolves, tigers, bears, deer. I think that's it. That's all I've encountered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to add hunts, but just like, they're normal. Just go kill a deer. Yep. That's so weird to me.
Yep. And the other, like, so there are towers that you can go climb. And
by the way, I'm sorry, I already read the correction. I realized that Dynasty Warriors is all historically accurate, which is why hunts were weird in the first place. I get it. I know there should not be monsters in Dynasty Warriors. I know. I read your comment. Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not worth fighting over. Yep. This game is not worth fighting over. There are these towers that you can go up, and if you go up to the top of the tower, you can do an Assassin's Creed-like thing where it'll pan around the environment, and you'll reveal more locations of the map. So whether
it's full-on open world.
Yeah. And I guess to give some credit to Dynasty Warriors 9, it's huge. Like, it's a huge landmass. So you go to these towers, you reveal more information on the map, and it does the Assassin's Creed pan. But you know how when you do it in a modern Assassin's Creed game and you pan across the environment, you're like, oh, this is so gorgeous. Oh, what's that thing? I want to go there. This is the saddest environmental pan you've ever seen. And every time I'm just like, oh, it all looks terrible. Oh. Like, it's just this flat mess of blah.
So what's crazy to me is Dynasty Warriors is a franchise that I've checked in on since it's the original on PS1. I mean, we all played. You played Dynasty Warriors 1, right?
No, dude.
Not even on PS1?
Isn't Dynasty Warriors 1 is like a fighting game?
Or just Dynasty Warriors? Just the original on PS1. Okay.
The original Dynasty Warriors is a fighting game.
Okay.
It is. And it was Dynasty Warriors 2 that changed things up.
2, okay. I never played 1 then.
I think 2. That is, okay. I think that's accurate. Please correct if wrong.
Since Dynasty Warriors 2 then, like, I guess I'm trying to say that novelty used to be enough. Playing Dynasty Warriors 2 when it came out.
Oh, mowing people down.
Yeah. Mowing people down. Hordes of enemies. Look how many people are on the screen. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That novelty, was enough for me to check in on Dynasty Warriors sporadically throughout the years. I recently even checked into 8. And I can remember playing 8 and thinking to myself, this is the exact same game as this. This is the same. Like, yeah, obviously some minor improvements. Obviously it looks better. But for all intents and purposes, it's still the same thing, just running through Muso style, like hacking away at lifeless enemies. Right. So when they went open world, I was so intrigued, and I remember getting a little hyped with you even before.
I was absolutely hyped for it.
Saw the trailer, loved the concept of do side quests to make the main quest easier.
Yep.
Like busting into a fort and like
that's cool.
Setting all that up. But it just doesn't sound like the change worked out. And hopefully I can equate it to like WWE. Usually when WWE games kind of go down a road, they make a big change. Mm-hmm. It'll take a couple to kind of like get in the rhythm and get good. So maybe like Dynasty Warriors 10 or 11 open world will alleviate these problems. I don't know.
That's what I was just going to say. Because there are so many things that they're going for with this game, where I'm like, oh, that is a cool idea. And when you're just reading about it, or you're hearing somebody describe it to you, you're like, oh, that sounds great. So you have this grappling hook, you have this mobility, where like when I think of Muso games, it's like, okay, I've got to get to this point, I've got to mow through people or run past them. Here it's like, oh, do I need to get in this castle? I can just use the grappling hook, get in there, do the thing. And so you have a lot more freedom. I can go find these hidden boxes throughout the environment. But what ends up happening, because there's so much jank, is none of it feels right. So like they kind of play up like, hey, you can sneak in to this fort. Like, hey, if you need to assassinate somebody, like you can sneak around. But the stealth is so haphazard and weird that when I try to sneak, like people see me right away, even though they're not looking at me, and I feel like I'm outside their vision cone. It just doesn't do a good job of communicating it, but it also gives you absolutely no reason to do it. Yeah. Because what you can do, you can just use your grappling hook, get to your target, and kill it in a lot of instances. And so because you're so powerful as this character who can take on dozens of dudes at the same time, there's really no good reason to engage with this kind of bad system. Mm-hmm. And so I think at a base level, you're kind of just looking for those big scale fights. Yeah. Like you're like, okay, well, at least I can fall back on that. But because it's open world, a lot of the fights that you're doing, like let's say you're trying to capture a camp, they're just really small. That you don't have that sense of scale because it doesn't put these huge armies at every corner of the map. Usually it's just like, okay, you need to kill these couple guys and you move on. And so it ends up feeling like really small and meaningless. Yeah. And then during the story missions, the conditions that they're placing on me sometimes are just awful. So there's this guy, it was confusing. I didn't realize that I had to protect him. Because I would go and I would like try to kill the people that I needed to kill, and he's like, oh, so this is what it feels like to engage in a losing battle. And in other Dynasty Warriors games, like your comments are what let you know when they're not doing so well. And so I thought it was just that, like, oh, okay, he's not doing so well, but I can just like go and kill the people that I need to kill. And then I get to the guy that I need to kill, and he's like, oh no, it's the end for me. And this happened like a couple of times. And I was confused because it just wasn't really clearly explaining what I needed to do, or at least I wasn't getting it. What I needed to do is I needed to take him with me through this route to get to this guy that I needed to kill. And anytime I got just like a tiny bit a ways away from him, and like one guy would come up to him, and he wouldn't even really be damaged, he'd go, so this is what it's like to fight a losing battle. Like immediately, like just a little bit of distance between me and this guy. And so it felt a little ridiculous. Oh
man, it's a bummer because I feel like on one hand, right? Not shouldn't. Okay. On one hand.
Okay, here we go.
On one hand, this Dynasty Warriors franchise, there's something that was special about just hopping into this world and just wreaking havoc, just smashing people with I always think of giant spears in Dynasty Warriors, just like just mowing down hundreds of people. And I just think it's so interesting to hold that up to video games now, or like to kind of chart the path of games and like see where we've come. And like, is that enough still? Just mindlessly hacking away enemies? Because like back then, not as many games.
Yeah.
You know? And there was still that novelty of, wow, this is kind of new. Like, so many enemies on screen. Let me just hack away. And now I respect that they kind of went for the meta, right? Which is open world. Open worlds are bigger than they've ever been. And
Right.
You know, sales wise and games. Every game's open world now. And it's like, I in one hand, I respect the effort and I respect that they tried to go that way. But at the same time, like Dynasty Warriors 2 through 8 or whatever kind of rested on its own strengths and weaknesses to a fault in some sense. So it's like they went outside of their comfort zone to try to do something, and it looks like it didn't pay off, which is a bummer.
When I think about Omega Force, and I think the reason why I was so excited for Dynasty Warriors 9, you talk about going outside of that comfort zone. I think they've been doing that, and they've been doing that successfully. Like, that Attack on Titan game is really fun, and you know, definitely has some light elements of things that they've worked on in the past, but they managed to capture what it felt like moving in that maneuvering gear really, really well and taking down Titans. They made that super, super fun. Dragon Quest Heroes.
Amazing.
Like, they did the way that they integrated some RPG elements, the way that they presented that world, you know.
Which is crazy, which is just cut you off really quick.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say hear you say how ugly and janky Dynasty Warrior is. Their trademark franchise, clearly this is their thing, Dynasty Warriors, saying how janky and weird it looks. Dragon Quest Heroes
it's crazy.
is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what happened? Did like they just not give Dynasty Warriors the budget? Is the franchise not doing as well? So maybe they put more resources into Dragon Quest because Dragon Quest is so big?
I mean, you can speculate. I don't know the answer, but they're making a lot of games. And as we've seen sometimes from studios that are pumping out a lot of games, that it's just more than they can handle. And you get that sense throughout this entire game where their head is in the right spot. It's just they can't do it. They can't make it come together. And the last thing that I want to say before I kind of tackle on this other weird part, which may throw you for a loop, Huber, I can't get over how atrocious the voice acting is.
Always terrible. I feel like it's always been bad.
Yeah, but like imagine what you're thinking of for like bad. This is worse than that. There are some lines that like I can't believe that they said yes, this is okay. And there are a ton of characters in this game. I understand that. There's also a lot of dialogue, but it's just hilariously bad. And I saw some people comment while I was streaming where they're like, oh, it's campy, you know, it reminds me, like, this is kind of how Dynasty Warriors is. There's a novelty there. And the badness is a novelty at first. And it's kind of funny. And you can laugh along with it.
It's worn out. It's welcome.
A couple hours in, you're just like, please stop. Like, it's so bad that I can't pay attention to the story that you're trying to present, and it's robbing whatever emotion you're going for in any of these things. Like, there have been like character deaths or betrayals, and I'm just like, no, like, no, I feel nothing.
So those are cutscenes in between, I guess.
So the way that they'll do it is you'll have moments during the main mission, like when Lu Bu came onto the scene. There was an actual cutscene, and then like with certain missions, you'll have characters talking to each other in game, and then after you complete a chapter of the story, it will kind of go back out to the map, and a narrator will give you a broad overview of what's going on. All of it's bad.
Okay, all right, got it.
I don't know if they fixed this. I didn't see. I had the narrator speaking on the map last night, but before last night, there would be like a subtitle for a line, and then like it just wouldn't be there. The line would be missing. So he'd be talking, and then just like a line would be gone, and you'd see the subtitle for it, and then it'd go to the next line, and you'd read that line, and it's just like, how did this happen? How did this happen? But the weird thing, and I almost feel bad coming back around on this because I want to be clear on my feeling. I think Dynasty Warriors 9 is a bad game. I think it is just bad for a lot of reasons. I'm still kind of having an okay time.
That's the thing, dude.
It's like
that's
this
how it always
very
is.
Weird But the thing, I think people in general, and I hesitate because I'm certainly not a Muso expert, but I think there are definitely Muso games that I've played where I'm like, no, I think this is actually good. Because you'll get people out there where they're like, they're all bad, they're all the same. And I understand that criticism to some degree, but like Fire Emblem Warriors is a game, I know not everybody likes it, but I'm like, no, there's some really good moments here. There's some really good decisions. There's some really good executions with some of these ideas where I feel like they just kind of get lumped together and like they're all bad. They're all exactly like this. And I don't necessarily buy that. This game is bad. This game is bad.
But you're having some fun.
But I'm having some fun.
Because it's so fun to smash armies with your stick.
We're talking about like things you can put anime on or TV shows or podcasts. It's perfect because I only have to devote like 2% of my brain to this and I can enjoy the other thing. And not only do you kind of get the Dynasty Warriors satisfaction of like, okay, there are all these health bars I need to tick down. Okay, there are all these guys I need to kill. That's kind of primitively satisfying, but you also get the weird open world satisfaction of, all right, I got to get these materials that I need to craft.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that thing on the map. I'm going to go chase that. Oh, there's another tower I can climb. Oh, there's another waypoint I can unlock for fast travel. It is just checking off boxes, and I think on some level, I'm really enjoying that, and that feels weird to say, but it's totally true. Like,
100%.
I don't think that's worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
But I'm in it. So
I've never finished a Dynasty Warriors game because the gameplay from the 1 second, the opening second to I feel like the final second, is exactly the same. Like the game never changes. It's square, 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 triangle, triangle, square, 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 just mash, 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 mash.
See, in Fire Emblem Heroes, or not Fire Emblem Heroes, I always do that. Fire Emblem Warriors and Dragon Quest Heroes for me, like when I got to the end, there's definitely a ramp up in difficulty, and I had to pay a lot more attention, and I thought some of the ways that they were challenging me, both those games, I think Warriors did a little bit better than Heroes 1 did, but I don't know. I think there's more there than people are giving it credit for. Where sometimes it starts and it's just completely mindless, but they do push you at a certain point. And maybe Dynasty Warriors 9 will as well. I did play it on hard. I've checked it out a little bit on hard, and that was kind of frustrating because the dudes just did way more damage, and it wasn't. I don't know. It didn't necessarily make it that much more interesting, but maybe my opinion will change on that.
Do you like the grappling hook?
No, I don't like the grappling hook.
Oh.
Because I feel like the grappling hook just trivializes enemies, where it's like, okay, all these dudes that are right here, I'm just going to climb over you.
I was thinking about in terms of traversal, though, in the open world. Is it fun to have a grappling hook?
I guess in some ways it's kind of nice. So like these towers, like you can climb the ladder and go to the top of the tower, or you can just grappling hook and joop, joop, joop.
Yes.
So, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Kyle, have you played Dynasty Warriors?
No.
Ever?
Never more than like at a friend's house mashing buttons like you did.
Mashing buttons, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from with Dynasty Warriors, is like it was one of those games that was like around me and I would play at friends' houses and I had a very passing familiarity with. But recently, I would say like in the last few years, I'm like, oh no, wait, I think this is kind of cool. Like I played some Samurai Warriors 4-2 and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I want to play more of these. I'm really curious about the Empires games.
Did you play?
I'm interested.
8 Extreme, I think it was called.
No, I didn't play.
It was pretty solid
for
Dynasty Warriors. It was really solid.
Okay.
I got sidetracked with other stuff. It's good for a couple hours.
Sure. I think at Game Trailers, I don't know if I was an intern or if I just started working there, but I was tasked with getting gameplay of Dynasty Warriors 8 on PS3, I think. And so I think I did that, and I played a little bit of Dynasty Warriors 8, but I haven't played Extreme Legends Complete. I bought it because I was playing Dynasty Warriors 9, and they're like,
were saying,
hey, play this one. It's way better if you're looking to get more into Dynasty Warriors.
It was really solid from what I played.
Yeah, and maybe it'll be great. I feel like I want to get through 9 and have a full opinion on 9, but Nice. I want to play 8.
Nice.
So same Warriors 9. Is there anything... You don't seem particularly interested in Dynasty Warriors, Kyle.
In Muso, in general. I did play the Zelda one.
What did you think of Hyrule Legends? Is that what it was?
Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, yeah.
There we go.
I had like you said, a good mindless time. I was did not have the music blasting. Definitely was watching something else using that 2% of my mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
But mindless is okay sometimes.
Well, of course it is. Yeah. But there's so many mindless games
Right.
in 2018 that a lot of competition, all I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of mindlessness.
A lot of mindlessness.
Like
out
Destiny
there.
2 can be mindless,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
you know?
Yeah.
You need it. You need it in your life. When I streamed Fortnite with Jones, people were criticizing the Save the World co-op mode. Because we played some Battle Royale on stream, obviously, but we were playing the Save the World mode, and it got into kind of Jones, like, not defensive, but Jones was just like, hey man, this is just my game to chill out to.
Right.
Mindless. I can just queue it up, watch the numbers go up, you know.
So you're hearing Jones react to the audience, meanwhile you're just on a headset.
Yeah, and
you
I
don't see
had
what
chat
they're-
up too,
Oh,
so I
okay,
saw
cool.
it. Yeah.
I mean,
But it's like there's always need for that game, right? And like Dynasty Warriors over the years has fit that void so well.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just nice feeling powerful, and that is the most basic interpretation of that. But also, like, I think the idea, like, beyond just the simple 1 versus 100 mentality, the idea of capturing bases and trying to manage where you're going and thinking about that, like that, there's enough of a light strategy that it makes you even more interested and satisfied with the let's kill a bunch of dudes concept.
It's cool.
In my opinion, anyway. But speaking of, you brought it up, we might as well go into it, Huber. Fortnite. You wanted to talk about Fortnite.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude. What the hell just happened? All of a sudden, I'm hooked on Fortnite.
There are definitely hooks for you.
Yeah.
Like, it was Warframe for a second.
Yeah.
And then we had the PUBG because you were reviewing it, and now we're on the Fortnite hook.
It's strange because I've had Fortnite for a while now when we got codes. So I've had Save the World, which is the co-op mode, way before Battle Royale. And I've dabbled in it, and I liked it. I was like, all right, it's fine, it's cool. Barely played it. Then I was talking to Jones about it because I really wanted to play with Jones because he's so passionate about it and into it. So he streamed it, and I dabbled a little more. And I made sure before I played with Jones, so basically I played Save the World for barely at all, took a couple months off, played some Battle Royale and Save the World with Jones, just dabbled a little bit. Still felt the same way, like, oh, it's a cool game, but clearly don't have enough time for this now because there are so many games out.
Right.
Then I get a call from my friend who's like, yo, what's this Fortnite business all about? Like, everyone's talking about it. He works at a school, by the way, okay? He works at a high school. He's like, yeah, all the kids are talking about
He's hearing chatter.
it.
Huber, that's so funny.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
girlfriend works at a middle school, and she
Yep.
says Fortnite is the hottest game
Okay.
Wow.
at middle school.
So I feel like it has peaked right now. Like Monster Hunter style, dude. Like, you're either playing Monster Hunter or Fortnite. You're playing one of them. Like, so Frank calls me, asks about it. He doesn't play a ton of games, but once in a while. So I'm like, yeah, man, if you want to play tonight, like, it's free to play. We'll just play. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Is free to play because you can just say to anyone who doesn't even play video games, yeah, just get it. We'll play tonight for free and no stress. And a game can be anywhere from 2 minutes to 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So just hop in, we'll play a couple. Next thing you know, dude, later that night, one more.
Are you playing Battle Royale?
Battle Royale
Okay.
now.
Yep.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, we'll do one more. One more. 3 a.m.
No way.
3 a.m. and all of a sudden I look at myself and I'm like, dude, I got the Fortnite itch.
And he's got to go to school tomorrow.
Yeah. And I was just itching for more Fortnite.
Do you
now
think
that I have that, I always equate it to StarCraft 2. In StarCraft, that light bulb moment, I like to call it the StarCraft moment.
Sure.
When you actually stop when you're playing a game and you stop thinking about how to play it and you just play it.
Yeah.
That happened to me last night
And
with
I think-
Fortnite. So because it's kind of overwhelming with all the building and everything.
Sure.
So finally I could just play to play and not be like, okay, how do I get that? Like, what is a good strategy here? Is this gun actually good? How does this gun work? And I just played and I had so much fun.
With Fortnite, for me, do you think part of that? Obviously, there's the whole building element, but in my experience, I think what was so appealing about Fortnite is it was just a lot more readable for me immediately, where I was kind of able to jump in and have that fun than I was with PUBG, where I just felt like there was a little bit more to deal with PUBG, a little bit hard, like just in terms of managing inventory and all the attachments for guns, which I like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of like you're kind of talking about that barrier, it just seems like it's way easier to hop into. There's less to process.
Yes. And I'm not an expert on either of them. Even though I reviewed PUBG, I still don't call myself an expert.
Sure.
You know, people play that all day, every day. A lot of hours, thousands of hours logged for many people. So feel free to say I'm wrong about any of these opinions, because these are just opinions. But the feeling is, for me personally, PUBG is a little slower, takes a little longer to get into a groove, and it just feels like there's a little more downtime in PUBG. Now, granted, I haven't played PUBG in a couple weeks, and I know they've been tweaking the shield of death, whatever you want to call it, the shield wall that comes in and closes off. They've been making tweaks to that in PUBG to kind of speed it up a little bit. So they reduced the countdown, made the damage a little more to really try to funnel people faster. So in PUBG, you can kind of get off the plane and kind of find a safe spot relatively, right? Like, that's possible. It's like, all right, I'm going to hide this game.
But that's cool, right? That's the
That
appeal.
is very cool. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Fortnite, little smaller map.
I feel
Like, when you land, like, you are most likely going to get into an encounter.
coming off of a lot of PUBG,
Yes.
where I had a lot of games in PUBG where it's like, okay, there's no one around me.
Land,
I can take my
do
time.
nothing.
I can scavenge. I think like 5 games in a row in
Yeah.
Fortnite, I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
I'm in conflict immediately.
Which, like I said, PUBG hiding, very cool. My style, especially when I'm playing alone.
Yeah.
But Fortnite, it's kind of satisfying to land and survive that first encounter. And it's like, dude, if you just survive that first encounter, you're gonna get far in the game. You're gonna have more items. You cleared everyone out of your area. You're gonna make it. You know, you're gonna get farther, which I really appreciate.
Is it just fist fights in the beginning?
No, so you have your pickaxe, which does like no damage, but
All right.
it's just that mad dash to the nearest weapon.
Yeah.
So you see everyone kind of landing and going in buildings, and it's you gotta find that gun quick, which I really like. And also, I really like. Well, like, okay, now just forget about PUBG. We're not talking about it anymore. Okay, so this is all relating.
We're
to
not peering down that road again.
Yeah, we're just talking about Fortnite now.
What can we peek? Can we still peek on the Dragon
Bring it
Ball
up
Naruto?
if you need to. Bring it up if you need to.
Road?
But yeah, 100%.
Here's the thing, Huber, is I feel like Naruto does have a lot of emotions. It does have a lot of themes.
Yeah.
But because of the way it ends, it's like I don't respect it anymore. Because of how much it lost in those last 5 years.
The filler,
Yeah.
riding the filler train.
Yeah.
All the way to the bank.
It's like that goodwill is gone by the end of
Yeah.
that point.
Does
Like, can you
Fortnite ride the filler train?
Yeah, does that?
No.
Okay.
Very fair game with microtransactions. You can buy a battle pass, and that is 950 V-Bucks, and
V-Bucks just sounds filthy.
V-Bucks sounds bad.
1,000 V-Bucks is $10. So it's $10, you got the battle pass. The thing is with the battle pass, though, every time you play, you go up 1. You know, so it's like, all right, day 1, log in, you get the outfit. If you log on day 2, you might earn 100 V-Bucks back. So it's like, it seems very generous in that sense. You can also earn V-Bucks in the single player mode, which is in early access, but I think you can buy that now for like 30 or 60 or deluxe edition or something. But you earn a ton of in-game currency in just the co-op mode. So I think that's fair. Whereas, you know, some games you have to buy it.
Does Battle Royale have no V-Bucks?
You can earn them, but it's extremely rare, I think.
Okay.
Like when you level up your account, I think.
Got it.
Not 100% on that. But what I like about Fortnite is how different each mode is, right? There's singles, duos, and squads. Singles, you're alone. you land, and you can hide a little better, right? But everyone is a threat. It's almost like you're surrounded at all times when you're by yourself because there's 100 people dotting the map.
Yeah.
Whereas teams, you and a buddy, now it's just 50 teams. So that changes the dynamic quite a bit because you have to share items with your partner. Mm-hmm. So there's that level of communication of like, yo, I got a shotgun over here. Do you want the shotgun? Like getting all that, teaming up, which isn't new. It's also in PUBG, but I appreciate that. And then also last night I did 4s, which is squads, teams of 4, which here's the biggest difference between this and PUBG. So you can build in Fortnite, and when you have 4 people on a team and they all can build, it is insane. It can get crazy. Like, we entered this town, and because there's only 25 teams of 4, encounters are more rare and more meaningful.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're with 4, like, it can be a while before you encounter any team. Because you're grouped up, not everyone is spread out. It's like, if we're 4 people in a place, like, we're in this place rather than, like, spread out, It's like, because you want to stick together. But when, like, we were on a roof, like, this is just one story. We were on a roof of a building in the town, and the circle is shrinking, and it's like gonna come, and we're gonna be in the dead zone in like 90 seconds.
Nice.
And we see 4 other people in the border of it, so they're in the safe zone, and they just start building and building and building and building and building. They're all just building. Everyone's building. Like, this guy's building this tower. This guy's building this like blocked fort over here. Everyone's building. The wall's coming. What do we even do? We don't have that good of weapons. We're not as good as everyone else because, by the way, everyone is a pro gamer in Fortnite, just so you know. Have fun with that.
All of them.
All of them.
Except you.
Except me. So anytime you encounter anyone except me in Fortnite, MLG.
Well, that makes me just want to play you.
Yeah. So everyone's crazy. So finally we were just like, all right, we got to go. The thing's coming. So we just like get out. They see us. They start shooting like rockets. Okay,
Yeah.
You can get rocket launchers, which sounds insane, but they're pretty rare. Start shooting rockets down. Things are exploding. We all start like building walls up because you can just like do that on the fly. So like one of us goes down. What's really cool, again, in squads, guy goes down, you can revive him. I'm down. My friend builds walls around my corpse and starts reviving me in there, in like a little bunker.
Cool.
Thought that strategy was really cool. And
Yeah.
just that, like, the biggest difference that sets it aside from from PUBG is the building.
Yeah.
And while I had played mostly solo and got to those final encounters, those building encounters, I couldn't take full appreciation until now I did it with friends and like all of us building together. Because in solos, like people build, but it really comes down to the last like 10 or 15 people. And during that final encounter in a solos Fortnite game, it's like battle of the bases. Everyone builds their own tower, and it's like high ground is the advantage. That's
Yeah.
how you win. You're on top. So everyone just builds into the clouds. Build. And I thought that was so cool and differentiated it from PUBG, and that's really fun. PUBG has vehicles. That's different too. But with squads and the way all of that comes together with building is just insane, and I really liked it.
I'm watching some streams of Fortnite. I'm amazed at how efficiently and how well people can build.
Everyone's
Like,
because
just
MLG.
like, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
I'm doing that, and I'm doing a crazy headshot.
Yeah.
They're really good. The professionals
Yeah.
that you're talking about. But I love, because I think inherently with this battle royale, when when it's like this many people are alive, just encountering anybody is chaotic and stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But the level of desperation that building allows, the way that it like you can express that desperation.
Yes.
When you hear that gunshot and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. It's
Yeah.
just it makes a already chaotic moment that much more crazy.
Yeah.
And just hearing like the image that you're creating, that you're describing, where you're like, my friend was trying to revive me, so he built this wall
barrier
around
us.
That's so cool, and
Yeah.
and what a great idea to have this element to this mode and how much it adds, because it's not just the building, it's also the destroying of stuff
Yeah.
too, like breaking stuff down for materials, removing that for cover.
I just love co-op so much, but even my favorite games to play co-op, like Battlefield, it can still feel like you're playing by yourself in a weird way. And unfair to me to take it on Battlefield because you have squads and you can revive each other and use different classes with each other, sure. But it's so chaotic that it's like, I'm still kind of thinking about my own kill-death ratio, you know? There's something so great about dying and then watching your friend on the kill cam. And it gives it this camaraderie and this we're in it together kind of thing. And especially nowadays when we don't have as much time as we used to, we consume so many games, we're trying to just play, on to the next. For me to like die in the opening minute of a round and then to watch my friend for the next 10 or 15 minutes, for that to be fun, like...
That's crazy.
That is crazy, but it's also really fun too because like if you're the last man standing on your team and all your friends are watching you, that's a whole nother layer of like, all right, like I'm alone, but like let's do this for the team, like let's win it. It gives it this level of like sportsmanship or gamesmanship. I don't know, it's I like it.
That camaraderie you're talking about, I agree how valuable it is and how awesome it is when a game can draw that out. You made me immediately think of Monster Hunter, where there are so many ways where that camaraderie is applied as well.
Yes.
Whether it's just like the style of the Gathering Hub, but going out on missions, having you be like, I'm on the head and feeling that dependency on you to take care of the head. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll go and I'll try my best to cut off the tail. Or like, hey, I'm going to pop this item, everybody get on it. There's a really good sense of we are a unit.
Yeah.
We're not just 4 individual players that happen to be fighting the same thing. We're all have strengths and weaknesses. Let's apply that together.
Totally.
And I love that. And I think it's what's made hunting with you guys so much fun.
Oh yeah, the best.
As well.
I got a quick question about the physics.
Yeah.
So let's say that somebody built a really tall tower.
Yeah.
If I knock out the base, does it all fall down?
Yes. No. I don't think so because you can build panels just like in the sky.
Yeah.
So no.
Oh, okay. So nothing really relies on gravity, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's really just to get all as high as you can get up.
Yeah.
But then you can, like, if you have grenades and rockets, like, you can destroy a structure pretty good. There's 3 levels of structures: wood, brick, and metal.
Yeah.
Takes a long time to gather metal from like cars and stuff. But if you have a big tower of metal, like, that's gonna hold up for quite a while.
Got it. Okay.
And just the simple pleasure, I don't even know how to put it into words, but just the co-op, the simple pleasure of like, I'm gonna run over to this building, I'm gonna stop, turn around, just cover my friend as he comes. He's like coming across. All right, come on over in this building. Just those little moments. I don't even know what I can call those moments, but like, you're not going to get that moment in Call of Duty. It's going to be spawn, run in, die, shoot, spawn, die, you shoot. Like, those quiet moments of just like, hey, like, I'm upstairs, like, come upstairs, like, there's a gun up here. And just like those moments. I love that.
Yeah, because it's not an AI following a path.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know somebody's going to cross there.
Yeah.
And that person is so much more dangerous. Yeah, I think that's so cool.
when we're on a roof together, kneeling down, and we see people like run across the street.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's exciting, dude. Because you don't have to engage right away. It's that pace, right? Of like, do we initiate or do we stay hidden? And I love that. So really fun. I had no idea this was going to happen. I'm like craving Fortnite right now. I just want to play some Battle Royale.
The hooks are in.
The hooks are in. Really good.
You got to log in every day to get those rewards.
I know. They got me at a good time too because Season 3 starts on Thursday.
How long is seasons?
70 days or like 3 months or something. Right. The final reward for Season 2 is on 70 days. You get some like Lord of the Rings, Black Knight, Red Eyes, full armor.
Wait,
set.
Are you gonna make it?
Oh no, I didn't buy the battle pass for season 2.
Oh, so you're gonna get it for season 3.
I'm gonna get it for season 3. I'm gonna
got it.
And really put the time in.
Nice.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Tell me about the hooks of Pokemon Crystal.
Pokemon Crystal is a game I've never played before. I played Gold and Silver. Ben, this is funny. I remember being on the internet doing research about Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah.
pre-release, like really like at this time where I have to weigh which games I can buy. And I just remember going, there's just not enough new to justify the purchase.
It's funny because I played Pokemon Crystal and I played Gold and Silver. When they were talking about this re-release on 3DS, I was like, what's different about Crystal?
Not much, really not much. The thing that fans like the most is they added the battle tower, and that's the thing people like forever. I just hate it. I went in maybe prematurely. I went in like level 30 with my level 30 Pokemon and got stomped by one guy. I couldn't kill one guy in the battle tower. And people are like, well, you got to know the meta. You got to be better. Then you got to raise them up. But the thing that I like about Pokemon games from this era is you don't have to worry about the meta. Your Pokemon may have natures hidden in the way that they progress, but you're not aware of them.
Yeah.
You don't catch a Pokemon and it doesn't say when you go to its stats page like, oh, you caught a bad version of this Pokemon, you should let it go. There's no such thing as a bad version of that Pokemon, or at least you're not aware of it at this point.
Sure.
I love that about this game and the first one as well. Ben, there's a lot of colors. Pokemon Crystal required the Game Boy Color. And so, yeah, it's a little more colorful.
This is the first one where you can play as a girl as well, right?
Yep, yeah. I'm trying it out.
That's cool.
It's cool to play as a girl. Yeah. Generally, like one time I think it was like Platinum. I tried to play it as a girl and like felt weird because Pokemon's so much about like you got to be yourself as a kid.
Right.
But like now it's like it's cool. It's cool to play as a little girl traveling this world. They added some story stuff that I barely tapped into. Ben, I'm 7 badges in. By the way, this game it's a breeze.
Oh.
There's harder fights than I'm used to in a Pokemon game, but like it's just short. It's a really short game, and I know what comes after the 8 badges. But like, I think maybe because there's 2 regions in this game, both of them are kind of underdeveloped. And just in terms of like cool tentpole moments of a Pokemon adventure, I'm not sure it really brings them on this game. But yeah, it's so cool to play through Crystal and see this old world and play an old Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's tough because I haven't really revisited Gold and Silver and Crystal outside of when I played them as a child, and I loved them as a kid. Yeah. But I think a lot of the reason why I loved them was one, just having so many new Pokemon and having that be really novel, how many new Pokemon they were adding in this sequel to this thing I loved, but also the surprises. The thing that you're talking about after the ending, going to that second region, all of that stuff was really exciting and unexpected, but I guess knowing when it's coming and playing it so many years later, does that suck?
Yeah, the things I don't remember are the things that I like the most. One thing this is so weird. Pretty early on in the game, you go to these ancient ruins that are next to buildings, so it's like anybody's allowed to go in these ancient ruins. And there's just a bunch of Pokemon called Unknown in there. And Unknown are Pokemon that are just shaped like letters. Like, they added that. They said, this is a good idea to add to our franchise. Unknown is
Right.
Oh, people are just like, you can fantasize about like the old designs and things like that, but like, look at Unknown. That's one of the top 10 worst Pokemon designs by any degree. It's just, they're shaped like letters. Like, and everyone's like, we can't solve this mystery. It's just a bunch of Unknown.
In Crystal, didn't they add like a little bit more animation to the...
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Every Pokemon who enters in...
I remember that being really cool.
Yeah, every Pokemon like wiggles in an interesting way. It's it's really cool, actually.
And again, I'm pulling from memory here, but I feel like outside of Unknown, what I still like from the Game Boy era of Pokemon, and I think this was even more true in Red and Blue, where there was an unsettled look to some of those Pokemon that you just don't get now, and it's kind of a hard thing I think to exactly describe, but there's so much consistency with the 3D models in Pokemon where they all look like they very much belong.
Yeah.
But I remember like seeing like the sprite of Lickitung and being like, that's just a little gross. Like, do you kind of get that where do you have kind of those creepy offshoots a little bit more? In
Crystal, they're pretty refined, I gotta say, actually.
Okay.
They've pretty much nailed it. But you can definitely apply that to the world in a way that I had forgotten about. Just the idea of being in this building, being in like Team Rocket's lair, right? That feels so cool in a way that it's hard to replicate in games today, because There's no extrapolation, right? In Sun and Moon, everything you see is what it is in that world. Everyone is defined in normal proportions. And so in Sun and Moon, you're actually wandering around pretty small islands. There's not a lot of cool interior sections. And so that Pokemon adventure is like condensed in a way that in Pokemon Red and Blue and in Pokemon Crystal feels much more grand. And it's just because of its visual presentation of the old school RPG.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like that
cool.
about it.
Remember when Monster Hunter was a handheld game and then it went to PS4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Pokemon does that.
It's doing it, dude.
That's happening, yeah.
It's doing it.
Hope so.
This year, man. It's happening this year. You don't believe me, but it's happening this year. It's happening. We're going in, dude.
When they re-released Gold and Silver on 3DS, did you play that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so that would be a sticking point for me because having you gone through Gold and Silver, like, doesn't that make kind of going through Crystal a little bit more of a bummer since it's especially fresh to you at that point?
Yeah, but I mean, Soul Silver I think was still, man, Ben, like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
No. I'm not talking about the DS remakes. I'm talking about the 3DS.
Oh, I'm so
re-releases.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
No,
okay. It's
I ignored them because
there we go.
it leaked that there was Crystal on a space for Crystal on the store.
The leak saved you.
And so I was like, oh, Crystal's coming. I'll just play Crystal. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It did, because I probably would have, actually. But yeah. What is actually really cool about this world and its design is that you don't have to take a specific path for your badges. You can get badge 7 way earlier than badges 5 and 6 if you go off on some weird paths.
Okay.
And I did that by accident.
Mega Man style.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And yeah, I mean, I wish Pokemon did way more of that, but you know, there's just so much about their like cute little story now that they won't let you branch off in paths. You know, like, well, how will you know if How's your best friend at that point? You can't go. There is some bad gatekeeping though. Which bothers me a lot. I think every gate should like mean something. Like Snorlax is really cool in Red and Blue. It's a giant Pokemon blocking a path. You cannot move around it.
Yeah.
In this game, at one point, there's just a guy who sells Rage candy bars. Well, not clear to me what that's about. And so, like, I'll buy one from him, right? And then the next time I'm walking down his path, and I'm trying to walk by him, he shoves into me and he says, I'm not selling Rage candy bars anymore. I'm like, okay. And I try to walk by him, he just shoves me some more. I'm not selling them. It's like, let me buy. And it's like, no, the story's not ready to get, like, that's fine. All right, I get it.
Does Snorlax go inside of a Pokeball?
Yeah, dude. Okay. He fits.
Okay.
Whale Lord fits.
So they all fit?
They all fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Whale Lord the largest Pokemon?
Whale Lord is the largest Pokemon.
Okay.
Are there any other Snorlaxes? Is any evolutions?
There's Munchlax, the baby version of them.
Munchlax.
Babies too. I hate babies so much. I hate baby Pokemon. Excuse me. I love babies.
I was waiting for that out of context.
Yep.
I was like, well, someone's gonna cut that out.
Yep.
I hate babies.
Yeah, no.
Kyle Bossman
Love
hates
babies.
babies.
Hate baby Pokemon. Just such a dumb addition. And Ben, like you said, like they added so much.
Yeah.
They didn't add that many Pokemon. You should at least double it, and they didn't. I think they add like 100 in Gold and Silver, and for 5 of them to be babies, that's just a waste.
I feel you. And again, I have to doubt my own nostalgia here, but I feel like the level of quality of design was pretty high. And that has not always been the case in later generations that I've visited, where I'm like, I don't like a lot of these designs.
I feel like you're forgetting how many unknown there are, dude.
The unknown are bad.
26
The
of
unknown
them.
are bad, but
Yeah.
at least with the unknown, I agree with you. I think the unknown are really stupid.
Yeah.
I can just kind of clump them all together and throw them in the trash.
Yeah, I
so
mean-
it's kind of just like one for me.
It's weird. Like they have the new types. This is where they added Steel and they added Dark
like,
type.
Steelix is awesome.
Steelix is really cool.
Steelix is awesome.
Caesar is really cool.
Yes.
But like Murkrow sucks. Murkrow doesn't evolve at this point. It's just like a little crow that will never be good, you know?
I like Murkrow.
I
Is
really...
Garbodor in Crystal?
Nah, dude.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Garbodor's from Black and White, one of my favorites.
You always tell me about Black and White.
Yeah.
If I were to ever go back to play a Pokemon, it would be Black and White.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, so there's things that really work in this game. There's things that just really don't work still, but it's really nice while I'm video game fasting to have this one thing that I can just pop open my 3DS and like put in a couple of hours at the end of a night.
I feel like since you're video game fasting while you're working on Box Pete, it fills such a wonderful void because it is both familiar, but there's so much that you don't remember that you're still getting a lot of new. So it's both comforting and surprising.
And I still I love just like raising Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's still that innate joy. I have a Wobbuffet for the first time in my life. I love this Wobbuffet.
Is it still exciting when you get a badge?
No. Actually, yes. These are some of the harder badge fights in the entire franchise.
Okay.
It is actually still exciting.
Cool.
Some of the trainers are kind of unexciting people, and they're just like, "Here's your badge." But I like I like it. I like having difficult battles.
Cool.
Will you battle me when it's on Switch?
Yeah.
Pokemon Switch.
Yeah, dude, Hubert, that's a weird thing about Pokemon and Pokemon fans is that a lot of them love the meta. A lot of them love battling each other, love battling online. I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm all about my own personal Pokemon adventure, the story of this RPG and my personal Pokemon.
But what about when you finish the game and you've been through it all, man? You've been through the journey. You named these Pokemon. You captured them. You fought with them. Some of them got knocked out. Don't you want to take those online and battle them against other people?
Weird.
I think it's like
It's
that's
like, yo,
so
this
weird.
is my team.
Huber, we've talked about the satisfaction of putting it on the shelf. Journey complete.
Yeah.
You know, you feel good about tying a bow on it.
Yeah.
You raised them.
Yeah.
They did their job.
Yeah, I would never. I would maybe like play a couple matches, but
Playing amongst friends, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I want to fight against you guys just for fun.
This game is, it also, talking about like bad gating. Sorry, Ben, I know we're just about to move on.
It's
It's
all
another
right.
thing I'm
It's all
mad
right.
they added. And this is
This
when
is an interesting conversation.
when I talk about why I like Red and Blue so much, is it just seems like a lot of things that were added were just totally unnecessary. It adds 2 HMs, Whirlpool and Waterfall, which
don't
allows,
remember either of
they
these.
allow you to cross over whirlpools and they allowed you to rise up Waterfall. You already have Swim. You can ride a Pokemon who already knows how to go through water, but you need another move for it to go through a whirlpool or up a waterfall.
The sequel thing.
Yes, Ben, yes. And so you got to have an extra Pokemon who just knows those 3 HMs.
It's really amazing to me. You need to know this because I don't know if you're aware of it. When we talk about video games and we talk, you bring up things that irritate you. It reaches another level with Pokemon.
Yeah,
it does.
Yes, it
like
does.
The frustration
The
that you're
nitty-gritty.
expressing with the new HMs that don't need to be there is beautiful because you care so much.
Yeah. Still fun though. Still having a good time.
That's good. That's good. Really quickly, I'm going to talk about the new Civ 6 expansion, Rise and Fall.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Rise and Fall.
Was that a
Civ 6.
Was that a like? I don't really have a reference point. For
Yeah,
Civ?
exactly.
Okay.
I'm very unprepared for this conversation.
Sure. That's fair. Part of the reason I want to keep it brief is because of that, but also because I feel like with Civ, a lot of times my initial opinion ends up being quite different than like my final opinion.
Sure.
And I'm still like in the early goings of really seeing how good these new additions are.
What are these games called? We messed this up on podcast.
Turn-based strategy games?
Turn-based strategy, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
On the Easy Allies podcast?
Yeah. Is there another name for him?
No. So the person, it was not on you, Huber. The person, like, I hate this. Somebody asked, like, hey, I really like Civ. I really like this other game. I really like RT. What's your perfect kind of RTS games, right? And then people in the comments are just like, those aren't RTS games.
Yeah.
Like, just leave that person who wrote the letter alone.
Right.
Ugh.
But there's like a special.
they just want some more great games.
Yes.
It's
There's a special name for it though.
Are you
Turn-based
talking
strategy.
about 4X games?
There it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. 4X. Okay.
So with Civ 6, Rise and Fall, the two big things that I want to focus on. There are a bunch of little things that I can focus on, but the two big things are eras. I'm gonna try to pull you guys in here.
Okay.
So with eras, to break it down, as you're going through, the game will now give you an era score when you do big things. When you drive barbarians away from your city.
A new era.
This like parchment will come up and it will sketch a drawing and be like, today is the day in this era that you drove the barbarians away from your city. When you build a wonder, it'll do that. And a bunch of things, a bunch of significant achievements. It will come up and it will give you this thing, and it will give you a score. So it'll give you like, okay, for driving away the barbarians, I don't remember exactly what it gave me, but it'll give you like +4 era score. And that score, as you have a certain amount of time until you move into the next era, and depending on your score, you will go into a certain era. So you will bring about, if your score is pretty low, you'll bring about a dark age.
Dude,
If you
awesome.
if you do okay, you'll bring about a normal age, and if you do exceptionally well, you'll bring about a golden age. And I just want to kind of talk about it being like, hey, you drove away the barbarian threat, or hey, you built a wonder, or hey, you have the most thriving city out of anybody. I really like that. I think Civ, the primal appeal of it is, hey, you are building this society, you're doing great things. Anything that can bring more attention to that, I think, is really cool. And have moments that weren't celebrated as much be even more celebrated and make you feel like some sort of pride, or that you really are progressing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is that
Right.
that feels like it would make each stage of the game more meaningful, because it's usually all about like, all right, get my wonder up, let's go, like space age, we're going.
Right.
And it's all about just the end versus like getting there. So it feels like you
Yeah.
can appreciate each step of the game.
And you can see, like, it's this huge scroll that you're doing, and you're filling it out as it goes along. So it's like it's a very obvious, like, this is my story with my chosen civilization. This is what we're doing. This is what we're accomplishing. And the idea of the eras is really cool, because like if you get a dark age, but then you get a golden age in the next age, you'll get a heroic age. Whoa. And it's like you persevered through the dark
cool.
times.
Rose through the ashes.
Right. And
Yeah.
so now, and when you get a heroic age, so whatever age you're in, you get to pick a dedication, and it's a bonus. If you persevere and you're in a heroic age, you get to pick 3 of them.
I love that, because
Yeah.
otherwise, like Dark Age, you'd be like, fine, I'll just reload my save. Until fine, I'll just do a new run.
Well, what's interesting is the Dark Ages have like their own unique dedications, and they can help you out in their own way.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
If you go from the golden age to the dark age, is it like extra penalty? Yeah.
No, it's just the heroic
Free
age
fall.
from going from the Dark Age to the Golden Age.
Cool.
And when I got a heroic age, like everything was brighter around me, and so that was nice. And the dedications feel pretty powerful. I think just seeing some other opinions online, and I kind of agree with it, is that like this thing that you have to worry about now, this whole other era. And I guess another thing that I should mention is if you're in a dark age, your people will be less loyal to you. There's a whole new loyalty system. Each city has its own loyalty, and you can eventually, if you're messing up so bad, your citizens will turn against you. And so getting in a dark age affects that pretty dramatically, and so you obviously don't want to be in a dark age. But going back to the criticism, it's kind of obvious, and you can just kind of feel it out. Like, okay, what is going to get me era points? I want to get into a golden age. What am I going to do? But it's not exact. You don't know exactly what you're going to do to get the era points to get into the golden age, and you're not sure how much it's going to reward you. So it feels a little bit vague, but it's also like there's so many things that you have to respond to in Civ. Like, okay, this person is coming in, they're trying to spread their religion. Oh man, like this city is really suffering. Oh man, I need to expand. Like, oh, the barbarians are attacking me, I need to build up my army. And now it's like this whole other system where it's like, okay, I also need to not be in a dark age. And you already have things in Civ 6 where it's like, hey, you can boost this research along if you do this one specific task, or this city-state has a quest for you, where outside of you trying to play your own way and build your civilization in a way that you want to, you also have all of these tasks that the game is giving you. And I think on one hand, that's really interesting, and it's good to like work around these constraints. But I kind of agree with what people are saying, where now there's maybe too many distractions, too many things to chase after, too many outside things to worry about, in addition to whatever strategy you're trying to formulate and do, especially kind of since it is a little bit vague and unclear about exactly how much each thing is going to give you in any given time. Yeah. So I'm a little bit, I don't know. I need to play more of it. I need to solidify that opinion, but I kind of see where people are coming from when they're criticizing that specific thing. The second thing I want to talk about really quick is governors.
Governor.
Yeah. So you'll earn these governor points. And what you can do with the governor is you can place them in a city, and they'll...
Can you name the governor?
No, you can't name the governor, I don't think. But you place them in the city. It takes them 5 turns to set up. And then they'll do a specific thing. So, hey, this guy's going to boost science. Or it was really great. There was a city state that I wanted because I was really focusing on science. I had this diplomat go over and like post up in the city state. And she's like, no, I'll give you a bunch of envoys so you can basically take control of it. And so they're very powerful, and they can really, whatever strategy you're going for, they can help shape it. And I think just on their own, they're really interesting because of how clear they are. Because with each governor, they have their own like level up tree. So it's like, do I want to double down on this governor and give them more things, give them more abilities to make the thing that they're chasing after even more powerful? Or do I want a new governor and kind of spread myself out and put them in a different city? Like, which one do I want to do? And I think that's a very interesting choice. The other thing is like, as you're going along the culture tree, you can either like pick an option that will give you like a governor point, or you can pick an envoy and use that on a city state. And so it's just making this diplomacy and this culture like a little bit more spread out and varied and interesting, I think, than it was before. And it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel, I think, as much of a burden as the era stuff can feel like sometimes. And so I think that's cool.
So Ben, the weird takeaway I have from this expansion is that it doesn't sound like a content expansion as much as it sounds like a design expansion.
What do you mean by that exactly?
It sounds like they added new rules to the same game.
Yeah, they made the rules more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Are there new things?
There are new civilizations,
Okay,
but like
cool.
that's so expected that I don't think it's
Got it. Something to point out on the podcast.
right.
I get
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
There's also like this state of emergency where you can all band together when something really bad happens. So like, let's say somebody is developing nuclear weapons, you can like kind of band together and deal with it. But I haven't done that experience yet. So,
Sure.
To me, the loyalty, which is kind of part of the era stuff, and the governors are the two biggest things.
I have a Civ question.
Yeah.
So if you're like Vikings or something,
Right.
can you make it to like the space age?
Oh,
Yeah, you can.
And what do
Live the
space
fantasy.
what do space age Vikings entail? What's
They look the same.
So the way that it kind of works with civilizations is like, yeah, you all progress to like the modern era and beyond.
yeah.
But with each civilization, they have unique units, and that is like kind of accurate to a specific point in time. So like with America, you have like unique later era units, more modern units, whereas like the Aztecs, you have unique units right away when you're still like in the primitive age.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how they differentiate the civs to kind of give them their own flavor. Like, where were they most prominent in history?
Okay.
But yeah, you're still progressing throughout the eras.
Sure.
The classical era, the Renaissance era.
Got it.
Yeah.
And like, give us some Viking spaceships, then we'll
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah.
And there are governments, so
Seriously.
you can make them like a democracy,
Yeah.
or something like that too. But
I played 6, but not a lot. I bought it when it came out because it was so hype, but I just fell off. So
The hooks didn't catch you.
yeah, there's a
I
lot.
really like 6 a lot.
I think if I went back again, I would have that StarCraft moment.
Yeah.
Like all it would take is that StarCraft moment, and I would be lost in civilization.
Lost. In
Yeah,
civilization.
it's interesting because like I do feel like my opinions on the eras and the governors like may change, because I remember early on in Civ 6 thinking like Eureka's were really cool, and so there are all of these technologies that you can research, but it's like, hey, if you do this specific thing, we'll make that go along faster. And so it was this idea of, oh, hey, I want to get this, so I'm willing to kind of deviate or focus on this or commit resources to this in order to make it happen. But there are some Eurekas, especially as you get later on, where it's like, I'm never going to do that. Like, it would be so far out of my plan that I'm not going to do this, and so it just kind of feels weird because what you're asking just doesn't make any sense. And so it felt like outside of the early game, it wasn't as interesting to me. And again, kind of what I'm talking about with the eras where it's like, you're asking too much, and I feel like my own strategy, like I'm having to shape around you more than you're having to shape around me, and that's where maybe it gets a little bit questionable. So I don't know, but it seems good. Overall, I would say I have positive impressions about it. Just those minor concerns. However, at Huber, a game that you seem really pumped up about, that
Mixed for now.
Mixed.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
That I misread the situation.
Look at this body language right now.
Optimistic.
Crossing Souls.
Crossing Souls, yeah. You know I'm a sucker for that coming of age high school drama. You play as high school kids in this game, of course. The visuals really got me. It's kind of like a 8-bit retro-y looking.
I'd say 8-bit isn't fair. It's more like 16 to 32.
32, okay.
Yeah. It's a good-looking game.
It's like top
but
down.
But it's pixel art.
Yeah, and it starts like a Pokemon game. You know, you wake up in your room and you can like talk to your mom and search your room and look at things. But I played the tutorial, which is basically like the first 90 minutes of the game. And I don't remember the characters' names yet. I'm sorry, I'm not like fully attached yet. But you start as the one kid, and he's like the jock, and he's got like the baseball bat, and he's really agile. And then he meets up with his friend. His friend is like a nerd or whatever, and he's like tinkering in the lab. And his other friend, like Big Joe, is like the muscle of the group, and his mom like owns a grocery store. And then there's like the girl at the trailer park, and she's like a tomboy. And then the sports guy's like younger brother is like young but like attitude, like causes chaos. So you control all 5 of the characters at once, but you can only control 1 at a time for now. I think I might be able to control 2 later, but we'll get to that.
Whoa.
So you can switch at any time between the 5 characters. They all have their own health and their own ability. So you run through the environment, again, just as whoever you pick. Yeah. But like Big Joe, the market kid, can like move boxes. The girl can tie her jump rope to things and like launch. The nerd guy has like hover boots and can shoot a blaster. The baseball kid has a baseball bat and can like climb things. So it's like using everyone's abilities to try to solve puzzles.
Yeah.
Puzzles seem pretty chill so far, so I'm not getting anxiety yet.
Chill puzzles.
But it's cool because the town, like this game has such a vibe to it. The town feels
80s vibe. You would definitely call it an 80s vibe, yeah?
Yes, I'm glad you said that. It takes place in 1986 California. There's a cartoon as cutscenes sometimes, like an 80s cartoon.
I thought those were super good.
Yeah, they're really well done. And there's like little cool environments you can go into. Like you go into the arcade, and there was a big storm the night before. That's how the game starts out. There was this big electrical storm. And you go into the arcade and nothing's working, but you can like help out and like boot the power up, and that's kind of a puzzle of like shooting these like switches. Then there's like the comic shop on the other side of town, or like the restaurant, and you go down in the basement and like kill some of the rats for the restaurant worker.
Talk about that arcade though. I love whenever a game will make every arcade cabinet a different game.
Yes,
that's important. That's a key feature.
Yeah, and you can inspect some of them, and they'll give a little context into some. Like one of the machines is like insanely hard. He was like, "Oh man, I don't even want to know how much so and so is made off this machine."
I think some of them were like nods to indie games too, right? Aren't there some nods?
Yeah, it's from Devolver, so there's that whole Devolver vibe. Like, I feel like Devolver is the Devolver cinematic universe. I feel like all their games are connected, even if they're not. I'm just going to say they are.
All right.
The Devolver universe.
Headcanon,
exactly. But at the same time...
Devolvers?
Devolvers.
Yes.
At the same time, again, it's so early. I'm just a little worried about the characters so far. They feel very tropey.
Yes.
Extremely. Like, my only fear is that they don't grow and evolve enough. And that's all I'm really looking for out of this game. Like, the gameplay is cool, puzzles and stuff, but it's like, I'm here for the characters.
Coming of age is what
Coming
you want.
of age,
Yes.
exactly. It's like summer vacation in the game, too. I went over to the school, and the principal's like, what are you doing here? It's summer. Like, go away, but I assume you're going to go back later. There's like a cemetery. I looked on the big world map. There's a cemetery I haven't been to. That excites me. But spoilers for the first 90 minutes of the game? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Responsible spoilers.
Responsible
Spoil
spoilers.
responsibly here, Huber.
So the whole tutorial beginning is about getting all the characters together. So it's the dude gathering everyone, meeting his younger brother at the treehouse because the kid has like something urgent to tell
You
everyone.
got to see this.
So you gotta see it. You gotta see it. You get to the treehouse. Everyone's there. Kid's like, all right, let's go. Let's go see. Dead body. Escalation of events. A corpse has washed up, like, in the woods. And it's, like, pretty intense. You're just this dead body all of a sudden, you know? And the dead body has a crystal. And the crystal has powers that let you see into the past. So it's like this mechanic of activating the crystal and then like the past will pop up. So right when it happens, he does it and like you can see cavemen like in the lab. And that's literally right where I stopped because like when you get the crystal, it like does the whole intro, crossing souls, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop here. And then it also hinted at that there is an evil military dude hunting for the crystal. He's like this big M. Bison, basically.
Does he have an eye patch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like M. Bison with an eye patch.
Yeah.
Very intense. He's like choking some guy out. He's like, find me the crystal. There's no voice acting. It's all text.
That's
But-
your voice acting. You're
Yeah.
adding it to the
Good.
experience. Yeah.
It's good.
And he like sends his cronies to look for the crystal. And there's like the one that like clearly like smarter guy goes after us. And the military dude with like the muscle shirt and the cigar is like, boss, why didn't you send me? Like, I want to go hunt for it. And he's like, because your methods are unorthodox. Like, let so-and-so try to handle it for now.
So these tropes we're cool with.
I'm always down for like the military. But
yeah.
but
Selective trope preference.
I'm glad you said that too, because even I was saying like, oh, okay, of course there's like this, you know, here we are with not Spaceballs, but what's the movie with the kid and
The kid?
oh my god, I'm drawing such a blank right now. It reminded me of an old 80s movie, whatever.
No, let's do this. So why did Spaceballs come in
not
first?
Spaceballs. It's
Is it something that sounds like Spaceballs?
like the one with like the kid in the glove, right? Not
The wizard?
the wizard. Isn't there some like evil organization in the wizard? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Definitely not.
Okay, it's something else then.
Okay.
War Games. Got it. War Games.
Okay.
Matthew Broderick.
Not Spaceballs, War Games.
War Games, of course. But the game is clearly playing off 80s.
Sure,
There's
yeah,
a house you go into,
Yeah.
and this little girl is in front of a static TV. And
Oh, the poltergeist thing. Yeah, yeah.
Poltergeist, you go up to her and she goes, it's here, or he's like, they're here. And then your character's like, what? He's like, the electricians, they're outside. It's like, ha ha ha. You know, these 80s references.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that stuff's all fine, but it's the core cast of characters that I want to see break out of these tropes and evolve and
Gotcha.
grow as I spend my time with this game. You know, that's all I'm hoping for.
Cool.
How long I will stick with it is up to the game because I'm not quite hooked yet. Whereas something like Life is Strange, I'm hooked on max within the first 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes, you know?
And I mean,
and I've played for 90 minutes now, and I'm still kind of like, oh, these characters seem a little tropey and not, you know, there's not enough yet. But again, the title card just hit, so
Yeah.
I think that is very fair because like it's an age-old trick, but in Life is Strange, very quickly they show you the crazy and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get here.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna hook you in and make this appealing.
Yeah.
This is the mystery that you're gonna be solving." And I like that. I like.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like there's quite that same hook in Crossing Souls yet.
yeah. So yeah, it might not have obviously the same level of emotion as A Life is Strange, but I'm hoping for some kind of emotional investment.
Yeah.
Will you just remind me every week to finish Life is Strange? Just
Finish it.
every week.
week.
Just say
Finish
it, just say it,
Life
just
is Strange.
Finish Life is Strange.
'Cause then you can play
Finish
Before
Life
the
is
Storm.
Strange. Yep.
Huber, it's another one that I've downloaded. Like, it's another one that I look by whenever I'm like dipping into the old barrel.
Give it a shot.
The thing, like, it's even worse than the position that you're in because I was really enjoying it and just haven't finished it.
Because I bring up Life is Strange and even Night in the Woods, Kyle. Like, Night in the Woods, her coming home, I'm emotionally invested within minutes.
I don't know within minutes because you have the whole section where you're like walking and you meet your aunt and everything. I'd say like the first time you're home. Yeah.
You see the travel bus guy, right? There's
Yeah.
that weird scene in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So when you get home.
Good introduction to the characters though.
Yeah,
I get
and
what you're
it's-
saying. Yeah.
It's like I'm attached, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't really know if I'm fully attached yet, but we'll see.
Best way to introduce a character, make a character interesting, is to show why this character is different from the other tropes.
Yeah, like the I call him the main character because you start as him and he's clearly the leader. They all like look to him to make a decision. But his dad used to be a baseball player, and then I think got injured or something. So it's like kind of a sad story. But then you have a baseball bat as your weapon. So I'm hoping they really dive into that. Like that's that's such an interesting thing to explore. Like, you know, you like baseball, your dad and is a baseball player, but like failed and.
I do like it when they're like, hey, this is different from the trope. But the other thing that I really like is the HOTTAKE!
Oh no!
You actually hit me with that one.
Did I physically hit
Yeah, you physically hit me with that one.
I did?
My
Shocked.
bones are shattered.
Chopped.
I've played a little bit of the Secret of Mana remake. And
Whoa.
that's gonna this is both going to be impressions and
Hey
the
Ben,
tip off for the HOTTAKE. Yeah.
finish Life is Strange.
Thanks, man. Thank you, Huber.
Yeah, get ready now, because you just opened up the floodgates, dude. Huber syndrome. Look out.
Oh, no.
You want me to remind you about finishing Life is Strange?
Open up the floodgates.
No, that's what I mean. Like,
Every
Yeah.
episode ends with you.
I'm going to
That's fine.
continue
Yep.
to remind
The
you.
public shaming will work. Yeah.
All right.
So for this HOTTAKE, the Secret of Mana remake, since kind of like around when the SNES Classic came out, I had never played through Secret of Mana, and so I've been chipping away at the SNES Secret of Mana, and it is a game that has really wormed its way into my heart for a bunch of reasons. I really like the way it plays, but it is just an incredibly gorgeous game. It is like when you're like in the desert and the clouds are going overhead and you see the shadow on the ground, when you're in this like frozen wonderland and like the trees are glowing different colors. It is just so beautiful. And I'm playing this remake and I'm like, oh, this is cute, but it's kind of a very loud, homogeneous cute. And it's just like kind of this one filter being applied to everything. Now I've played like 2 hours of the remake so far, so keep that in mind with this. But even just like little things, because in the original Secret of Mana, when you would hit an enemy, it would go like the thing got thwacked, and it was like, oh, that's how you're representing critical hits. That's a little cute.
Yeah.
Now it's just like the thing got critically hit. And it's like, oh, like yeah, I know it's not that big of a deal, but
Personality.
this was one component of something that really gave me a lot of joy in the game. It was part of the charm. And so I got to thinking about remakes, and then I thought about the remake, not a remake, but like this redone Rocket Knight Adventures that they did on Xbox Live Arcade, and I feel like no one remembers this.
No.
But they did Rocket Knight Adventures on Xbox Live Arcade. I'm not sure if they did it on PSN as well. I believe I played it on Xbox Live Arcade. And like it came out and people were kind of like on it, and then you didn't hear anything
Dead
about Rocket
again.
Knight
That
Adventures.
original art style was so good.
Right. And so I think about the Mana series, and when I think about its success in the West, people really only talk a lot about Secret of Mana. And that's the one that's held in such high regard. And so you have this series that I think could stand to get more recognition. And you have this remake that not only am I feeling a little lukewarm on, I see other people being like, it's kind of missing something. It's kind of missing that X factor for me. And I thought about a lot of times when these remakes come out, if they don't crush it for series that aren't guaranteed everybody's going to be paying attention to this when it comes out, they kind of get even deeper buried than they were before. Mm-hmm. And it's like another nail in the coffin for something that was really beautiful and amazing once, but now you've just bungled and messed up. A good example is like Golden Axe Beast Rider. Okay? Like, here, I realize that is not a remake, but it's trying to bring this game back and give it relevance, this series, and give it relevance again, but it just totally abuses it. And so my question for you, that I'm thinking to myself, when we try to bring these things back, when we try to revive them, when we re-release them in a big way, is it better to re-release them and have them be flawed like this, or in some cases even outright bad? Or would it be better for those games if those releases didn't come back at all? And how much do these unsuccessful attempts at revival bother you? And I'm not necessarily saying Secret of Mana is this horrible mess of a game. I don't believe that. I'm just using it to start this conversation.
It's a double-edged blade, a double-edged sword. Okay. So the Secret of Mana hype, obviously a little less now than it was a little while ago, just because of the bad vibes, I guess I should say, around this now. The remake, clearly not as good as the original. But for every failure, there's a Shadow of the Colossus out there that is remaking a masterpiece that is now being played by millions of people for the very first time ever. Mm-hmm. Now they get to play Shadow of the Colossus. So, yeah, Secret of Mana gets the bullet, but on the other hand, things like Shadow of the Colossus are getting remade, and a whole new audience is getting to play them.
Sure.
And at the same time, the original Secret of Mana is not going anywhere. That'll always be there. Anyone can queue that up, play it. In fact, now that there's so much negativity about this remake, I even saw a headline the other day that was like, now I want to go play this Secret of Mana. And it was all about the original. They're like, yo, this looks amazing. I haven't played it.
Sure.
What's up?
So,
yeah.
So are you saying, what I'm trying to take from that is, are you saying that this person wouldn't have had that realization if it wasn't for Secret Mana being part of the conversation right now? So maybe like there's this net good with this remake?
Yeah.
Like renewed interest in the original because of the remake being bad, you know? So I think it's tricky because there's also like the business side of things where money and time and resources are being spent to remake something we already have, whereas they could be making something brand new, and that's kind of a bummer because like it's always nice to get new ideas and new games, whereas now it kind of feels like these people wasted their time trying to remake it.
Yeah,
you know, when it was like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. But two sides of every coin. Shadow of the Colossus was perfect.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus was a 10, and now the remake is a 10. So it's like there's good to be had here.
I remember when the Secret of Mana trailer debuted, my argument was that the budget was right for the game, meaning that you can't spend a Final Fantasy VII remake budget on Secret of Mana, but I think that they still didn't spend enough. I think there's like a requirement. If you're going to do it, you have to spend this much money. Otherwise, you are wasting it. I guess like golf clubs, right? Like, let's say you can get child golf clubs for like $15 and $20 and $30. But it's like, hey, man, if you're not going to spend $300, you're not going to have good golf. I don't know. That was a bad analogy because I don't know the actual facts. But it's that kind of thing. You got to pay to play. There is a minimum that you should spend on this thing. And so it was too low budget. I think, Ben, there is a version of a Secret of Mana remake that could have looked good.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have the resources to make that happen.
I want to circle back around on that, but I really like the line of thought that both of you are doing here, and I have a question to pose to both of you. So let's say you're like, hey, there's a certain amount of money that you need to spend. So let's take that money, okay? Let's remove it. Let's put it in this corner right here.
Okay.
is it better to remake Secret of Mana, something that probably has more recognition, or would it be better to take that money and create a whole new thing so you're not, I don't know, tarnishing the legacy of something or creating unfavorable comparisons for yourself? Or do you really need those positive experiences from the Secret of Mana in order for this to be successful at all?
If I'm on the board,
Yeah.
I'm on the board of directors, I'm saying do the remake.
Do the remake. Why?
Yeah.
Why do the remake?
Because we have a proven franchise. I know people like this
We've already
thing.
got the storyboard.
Yes.
Half the work's already done.
Half the work's already done. The design, yeah, and yeah. Basically, what I sell is franchises. I sell characters. I sell IP. And if I have one that's already working and I could make stronger, I'll do that over a new one, I think.
Can't talk about remakes without talking about the greatest one of all time.
Yeah.
Resident Evil. Now, here we go.
Here we go.
Remaking a game, and earlier I was like, oh, it's nice to get like brand new games and that stuff versus like the same old game. Like, Resident Evil adds so much to the remake, and that's so cool because Resident Evil, obviously, I'm obsessed with, but like the Spencer Mansion and growing up with Resident Evil was such like a important place and an important game for me in my life. But then the remake took that a step further. So now like I'm even closer and more attached to the mansion, to those characters, to everything about Resident Evil because of that remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
think
important.
The thing that's tough, though, with Resident Evil, I really got this strong sense of we're going to make a more complete vision with the tools that we have, and it's like we really know exactly how to do that. Whereas with something like Secret of Mana, it's like we're going to try to capture, we're both going to try to capture that old charm, and also try to make it feel new at the same time. And there's just moments where it feels like it's clashing with itself.
Yeah.
And I think remakes can definitely fall into that territory. And so let's put you back on the board.
Okay.
I'm going to pose you another question.
Sure.
They did the collection in Japan on Switch for the Mana games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and let's say okay, we can do a remake, we can risk it, we can update it and potentially deal with backlash, or we can just say, hey, we're doing a big re-release campaign, we're going to put this collection out on PC, PS4, Switch, Xbox One. Is that a better route?
It's a lot of free money.
It's a lot.
Because that way you're playing it safe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you take the time to make this brand new remake, you put all the money and time into it, and you just release it with the older games, like you don't want people to play those older games before they play the remake you just worked so hard on.
You know what I'm saying? Let's say you just scratch the remake entirely.
Oh, and you just use the money to re-release the classic games?
Right.
It's so weird, though. I got to assume that the reason they didn't launch in the U.S. is that they just figured there's no interest here. And I think they probably figured like we would not be interested until they're polygons, until they're fully 3D characters in a 3D world.
So that was the next thing that I want to bring up. And I don't want to use this absolutely, but there's just been a couple of moments where I'm playing like a 16-bit game, and I'm like, man, this is so good looking. I love this. I want more games that look like this. And I just get really excited about it. And my girlfriend will come out, and she's like, I don't think it looks that good.
Sure.
Right. And, I grew up with a specific style of game that I think still really holds up well, but that's just one perspective. And I think sometimes it's very easy to think that perspective is very commonly held when it's maybe not. Do you think it's just us maybe misreading the situation, and by going this direction with this new look, that could potentially be more appealing to a broader number of people or an audience that maybe wouldn't have given it a look if it just looked like it originally did?
It feels low budget. It honestly seems like a budgetary decision.
What they made now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you wanna even begin to replicate the art style of the original in a new, modern, iconic way. Like what if they went Octopath Traveler style? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they went the opposite way on a budget. They tried to distance themselves from the look of the original.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be compared as much, or I'm saying if they tried to do the look of the original in a modern way, that it might have cost more money. I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't that bird weird? The big bird with brown hair, just a little tuft of brown hair.
Yeah.
I'm on the board. I'm saying get rid of the tuft. Shave the tuft.
Get it out.
Too weird.
Too weird.
Too weird.
Why has it got to be a little tuft of brown hair? Same color as the protagonist's hair. Get rid of that hair.
The visuals they look like Mighty Number 9, and that's not a good thing.
No, they don't.
Dude, they kind of...
They don't look like Mighty Number 9.
That, really, chunky 3D, almost not Dreamcast, but, like Grandia 2 looks better than Secret of Mana.
True. Yes.
Grandia 2,
yes.
and here, that is a 18-year-old game, just about.
Yeah.
And it looks better than a brand new game?
Yeah. What's so funny is I almost think it's like the work ethic. I feel like when they're developing Grandia 2, they're trying their hardest. And there's almost no way that the people making this remake, maybe they are trying their hardest, but they didn't have the resources to try their hardest. Time too,
It screams lack of resources.
Yeah.
And lack of budget. You can, what is it? A $40 game too, right? Secret of Mana. It's we're not going over this budget.
Yeah.
Do what you can.
Yeah.
And you have to think a remake has got to be cheaper because so much of the work is already done.
Yeah.
You have so much of the script and storyboard and environments and concept art. You have so much of that. So it seems like you can definitely do it on the cheap, and that's what they did.
Too cheap, though. Too cheap. Spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lasting consequence of this that maybe we don't give enough attention to is that, take Silent Hill, for example.
Okay.
And Silent Hill is not in a good place right now. It's just not, and hasn't been for a long time. And then when they re-released the HD collection, it was just a complete catastrophe from top to bottom. I feel like when it comes to remakes, the sense that I get is that, oh, this isn't any good, I'll just go back to the original. And it's kind of a closed mindset where it's what message are we sending? And sometimes I just want to think about, no, we still want this series. We still want this thing. And we can't just be content with complaining about it. We have to let you know exactly what we want. And I'm trying to think of a recent example where that was accomplished, where they brought it back, and they brought it back in exactly the right way.
Shadow of the Colossus.
So Shadow of the Colossus, is that 100%. For you? Is that...
Crash Bandicoot's a good example of a very successful remake. Obviously, we got some qualms with it, but...
So what do you think makes that quote-unquote successful in comparison to Secret of Mana? And I feel
they spent the money. On Crash Bandicoot, they spent the money. They spent the resources. It looks good. And really, I think that is why it was a success, is how good it looks. Mm-hmm. That your girlfriend could walk into the living room and say, "Oh, this looks good."
Yeah.
It's. I think that's really. I think it's actually a good barometer, Ben, of just of instantly appealing visually, and that's what they did for Crash Bandicoot.
This game brought up this discussion, but I feel like I'm saying the Secret of Mana remake is trash. I don't think I feel that negatively about it, where it's no, this is
I
still...
think it's worse than trash. It's blah.
Yes.
Sure.
Meh.
Blah,
Sure.
meh is worse than garbage.
I think meh is something I could settle on with it. Yeah,
and it is just meh. It is nothing. It is nothingness.
Worse than garbage. It's so true.
After this, I will not look at or speak of Secret of Mana again.
Yeah.
Out of no ill will or spite, but because it is not important.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Harsh.
brutally
harsh.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying my time with the Super Nintendo version.
No, I was just talking about the remake.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Super
see.
Nintendo version.
That's still on the table for you.
Yo, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. On the table. Definitely want to play it
Okay.
at some point.
That's what I was
But
a
this
little bit ugh.
No. The remake is gone. It's gone.
Came and went.
You were talking about the money, right?
Yeah.
And we brought up Crash, and we talked about Shadow of the Colossus, and I feel like those are games that are very synonymous with the PlayStation brand. If Crash is looking bad, if Shadow of the Colossus is looking bad, in some ways that's kind of PlayStation looking bad, so throw the money behind it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, again, this is just hypothetical. Let me throw this at you, where it's like, hey, we want to bring back Secret of Mana, and it's like you either get a little bit or nothing at all. And if you get the little bit, right, if you just get not enough money to make what you want to, but enough to make something, you get the people who it's part of the conversation again. Is that worth it?
No. I think they wasted money.
So you think they shouldn't have done it at all?
They got to write this one off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know what I
Give
really
me-
like
give me a
is
little bit
when
more.
I really like when Secret of Mana couldn't do this because it was a direct remake. So if it had released the original with it, it would be weird. It was like, what do you want me to?
It even does a weird thing, Huber, where you see the original in the upper left-hand corner as your mini-map.
Yeah.
Whoa,
It's really weird.
that is weird.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of a good example when I really like it, and like, not the way it was released, but the idea behind the Modern Warfare remaster. It's like, all right, I get Infinite Warfare, which is the brand new, shiny looking Call of Duty, but I can also go back to Modern Warfare remastered.
Well,
You know, so
Yeah.
maybe something along those lines of like a new Secret of game, but also we are just remastering, not remaking, remastering Secret of Mana, and then you can, you know, maybe you buy the new one, you get that, or like a pre-order, or it comes out a month after or a month before or something, just to really capitalize on like your franchise. I love that kind of stuff.
sure.
But this just is kind of in a weird spot because, like you were saying, I'm unaware of this, but the level of interest in the franchise in the West doesn't
Yeah.
seem all that big, except for Secret of Mana. So it really puts them in this
Yeah.
position where
And
it's
even
like,
then.
do we even release the original? Like, is the original already on PSN? Like PS3 maybe? PSN store?
I don't know, dude. It's on the SNES Classic.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's on the
Yeah,
SNES Classic.
Cool.
Yep.
So then, yeah, I mean, they kind of double dipped, but then at that point, the NES Classic already came out. People have already gone through the original. It's so weird. Because it's like, I don't want to. If I'm a newcomer to the franchise, I want to play the original because it's revered.
Mm-hmm.
But if I love the original, then I guess that's who this remake is for. But
Kind
if,
of. It
but
seems that way, honestly.
but if it's
yeah.
for them, you're changing the art style so drastically.
Well, and it's not just that. Like,
Yeah, you're making all these weird changes. So it's like, who are you for? I'm so tough
ahead.
spot. Tough.
I want to give an alternative to money because I don't think that's fair to say. It's just spend more money. But so the other one I was thinking of, Ben, is I always get confused if it was Monster Boy or Wonder Boy from last year. Is it Monster Boy?
it's.
Wonder Boy.
It's so because they're
I
all
know,
the same
I know,
franchise.
I know.
Anyway,
I reviewed this game.
I think it's Wonder.
okay.
Yeah, it's Wonder. I think it's Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap.
Sure. That's
Okay.
the game I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I'm going to, and this is just conjecture, I don't know. I feel like that game had a smaller budget than the remake of Secret of Mana.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, conjecture, you can prove me wrong. I feel like it is going to, in the end, make more profit than the Secret of Mana remake. And what I think they did with their game is more time. And so we talk about time and money. I think they spent a lot of time on that game. But they went in such a complete different,
Yes,
distinct
that's it.
direction
That's it.
visually that it's not a bad version of the game. It looks really cool. It looks unique. Again, anybody could look at it immediately and say, oh, this looks interesting. Because it has, if you haven't seen it, hand-drawn animation of a very unique style,
Yep.
cartoonish style that all looks really good. That wasn't even part of the original.
Yep.
That style doesn't relate to box art or anything. It's a very unique style that they just spoke through. The game spoke through this style, and it becomes a unique, successful game on its own.
And it's such a good example to bring up because I think the key there is how different it is. It's with Secret of Mana, I get this sense that it's like we're trying to capture this look but do it in 3D, and it's just it's imitation in a really like kind of way, whereas what you're describing is wildly different. But it's tough because I feel like this new style kind of evokes the spirit of the original.
Yeah.
Like it still seems like it fits, but is completely different. And I that's such a hard thing to do. Because if you go
Oh, on the board, we can't just say do that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's tough because if you make it too different, obviously people are upset. But if it's like this, if it's this imitation, people will complain that it's not accurate enough. And so finding that middle ground just feels almost impossible, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do want to say you can switch between the new music, the redone versions of the songs, or the original. And like pretty much in every instance so far, the original music has sounded way better. And that's also just like kind of a punch.
Rough. Woof.
Yeah. Boy, when you were saying that meh is worse than trash, I think that is
it's like
something to take away from this.
I've had this conversation with Kyle over the years of relating to movies.
Yes.
And Kyle is always like, yo, if the movie's a 7, like, I'm out. But if that movie's like a 2 or a 3, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather watch a train wreck than just something that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's just average.
Everything you expect just doesn't spike at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're ready for some emails?
Yes.
Yeah. Fortnite,
Our first email.
Fortnite, guys, really good chill out game. I just want to say that everyone needs a good chill out game. Monster Hunter
Dynasty Warriors 9.
Monster Hunter was that, but like now I'm at a point in Monster Hunter where it's so intense.
You have to be checked in for Monster Hunter.
Yeah, you got to be checked in, dude. There was a point when I was like, oh, I'll do some optionals, get some stuff. Now it's like, no, anything I do is so intense. No longer my chill out game.
I think once you get through the story, you'll sink back into chill out mode.
Oh, cool.
You're just bringing that hunter rank up.
Perfect.
You'll get there again, I think.
Perfect.
Our first email comes in from Michael. Are we being too easy on Nintendo?
No.
Hear him out.
Next.
Hear him out. Hear him out. Over the past few days, I've been playing Bayonetta 1 and 2 on my Switch. It's great to play these amazing games on the go or simply while laying down in my bed. However, I started thinking about all of the ports that we've been receiving and will be receiving throughout the year and started to think if we, meaning fans and game journalists, are being too easy on Nintendo for releasing too many ports on a new console. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. Where was I in the email? Not only are they porting their first-party games, but third-party games such as Disgaea 5, Ys 8, and I Am Setsuna. I know that the Wii U was considered to be a commercial failure for Nintendo, but they want to re-release the games from that console onto this one, but are they relying too much on these ports to fill out their release schedule? Personally, I'm okay with the ports because the portability of the Switch gives new life to a lot of the older games. However, I would really like Nintendo to reach out to other third-party developers and publishers so that we can have more third-party exclusives akin to Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I think that more third parties would be more willing to make exclusive for the Switch if they continue to see the Switch sell well. What do you all think about this? We're being too easy on them.
No. I had a really good conversation with a video game designer.
Whoa.
Programmer. I will not name the name. But
Okay.
I had a conversation with him. And they
Secrets.
said it's not as easy as just saying, like, yo, we want our game on Switch. Entirely different. The cartridge, like, fitting your game onto that little SD card, that's a hurdle you need to jump through.
That's where you get the LA Noire Doom situation.
Yeah, so it's not just, hey, we want our game on Switch. It's like, you need to make a Switch version. Like, it is different. And that is always going to be a problem with third-party developers moving forward. So,
And kind of like how Michael posits, I bet we'll see third-party exclusives even. Like, let's just make a Switch game.
Exactly.
Instead of, like, let's make a Switch version. Like,
Yeah.
let's just do a Switch game.
And you're
Yeah.
already seeing that happen beyond Mario and Rabbids.
yeah. And I don't think we're being too hard on him because 2017 was one of the greatest years ever for a company. I really believe that. Nintendo crushed it. And maybe they are leaning a little too heavily on it now. It's still early in the year. We'll see how their catalog shakes out towards the middle and the end. You know, after E3, we'll learn more and see how the rest of the year shakes out. But I've been on Twitter and I'm seeing people discover Bayonetta, and that makes me so happy. It's so exciting. I even discovered something about Bayonetta, that when you use the Peach costume, those hands that come through, Bowser's.
I forgot about that.
Bowser's.
Bowser kicks and punches, yeah.
Giant Bowser hands coming through a portal. Oh, I now I get to play this version. I thought I had escaped. I was like, I played 2 not too long ago.
Right back in.
Yeah, they got me.
I totally forgot about that.
It's like, I'll wait till Bayonetta 3. I'm good. You know, I finished 1 and 2. I'm fine. So many games right now.
The whole game, punching with Bowser fists.
Yeah.
Like summoning him is the cool thing.
Yeah.
Like
Peach's
Bowser
aid
is
or
in
something.
a realm and he sees a hole open up and he's like, I got this.
Hey, it's so cool. He's got like the like black bracelet too. It looks so good.
Your fantasy.
So Ben, I do feel like we're still feeling after effects of the Wii U. I think it was hard for any third-party publishers to go like, yeah, Switch, that's a sure hit. You know, not even us. We maybe after it was revealed, but a year before it was like, I don't know about Nintendo's next console, man. It's half portable? No way. And so nobody predicted the Switch's success, not even Nintendo. It's early. I do think it's early to say whether we're making whether we need to critique them yet. I think that maybe if we're halfway after E3 and it's like, hey, what's coming actually? Let's wait for after E3. We will trash them if they F up E3. We will absolutely be hard on them.
I'm never afraid to stick it to Nintendo because of the Wii U. Still bitter.
When you think about the Wii U and you think about ports, right? I remember the port of Arkham City, of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can play it on this console and it has this dumb new thing that you can have.
Oh man.
And so I think in that instance it's fine to complain about ports, but if you make a system where the appeal of it is portable and you're taking games that I couldn't play on the go before and now I can play them on the go, like that adds a lot. That's to me, in my mind, that's something that I'm thinking about of, do I want to buy this version on Switch? Is it being portable cool for me? Like Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah.
I have that on PC. I have that on PS4 and Vita. But the idea of playing it on the Switch is appealing enough for me, and I think that's a really good decision. And so I want that. And so I think these ports, in a lot of ways, assuming that they run well, have a lot of inherent value because of that. And I don't think you can just brush that away. I think that's a very key element.
Dark Souls, I honestly never thought I'd dive back into Dark Souls 1 again. You know, I was like, oh, maybe I'll play it in like a decade or two. Dive back into Dark Souls. You know, been there, done that. Killed every boss. Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, 3. I'm done, you know, one and done kind of thing. Showing up here on that inevitable day when everyone has their Switch and Dark Souls and we can just party up like that.
Yep.
That is playing the game in an entirely new and exciting way. This is not just some haphazard, you know, filler mode. This is a new way to engage with the game in an awesome and exciting way. And I even think about that with Monster Hunter. Can you imagine, like, being able to hunt in the same room together? Oh, it's so cool. Like, I saw in Japan, there's this video of, like, they're all sitting around 4 TVs. Like, they set up a square of 4 TVs in Monster Hunter. I was like, a lot of
LAN party days.
Exactly.
Love
a lot of
that.
work to put a LAN party together, whereas a Switch, you can just push it on.
You're right. I bet like high schoolers can just like hang out with Switches and then like have something on TV totally relevant. Oh man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
crazy. So 2018, big year. I remember at the end of the year we had the Nintendo podcast and Damiani was kind of talking about, you know, what are you looking forward to in 2018 with Nintendo? Can they live up to it?
Yeah.
And I'm just such a Mario Zelda biased human where like any mainline Mario and Zelda, 10 out of 10.
We're in.
Best in the biz. Always. They've never let me down, mainline Mario and Zelda. Like, hard to top for video games, right? We just had both of those in one year, so like no Mario and Zelda in 2018. That's obviously going to sting, but unfair to write them off so early.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about big, new, exclusive third-party things, that's really hard to do. Mm-hmm. But to me, what's more important than harping, I think, on one thing is that you have a balance. And I think the Switch has done a really great job of having a balance. If you're looking ahead in 2018, you have things like Octopath Travel. This is a crazy, new, weird, exciting thing that you can only get on Switch. That's super important.
Yeah.
But you have big Nintendo-associated franchises coming as well. You've got Metroid Prime 4 on the way. You've got Fire Emblem. But then you also have these ports to kind of fill in those holes, and I think it's a really good balance. To me, it's not... like I think exclusives are important, and we talked very recently about why exclusives are important, but I think you're getting the exclusives. But what's even more important is that you always have something interesting to play, and I think the Switch has done a really good job of answering that.
Sure. Yeah, getting exclusives, but also being able to play the third-party games in unique ways because of the Switch. Can we cross the streams here with Kind of Funny for a second?
Yeah,
cross them. Crossing souls.
Crossing streams. I was on the podcast with Tim Geddes.
Yeah.
We're talking about Project Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
Is he hyped on it?
Very.
Nice.
But you know what he wants? He's like, yo, when that name comes out for that game, Final Fantasy 16. Is Tim Geddes crazy or is he on to something here, guys? What?
I've said this very same thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, there
I think it was during our prediction special.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Our prediction stream. I think that was Ben's guess.
Yeah.
The prediction
Nice.
stream. Yeah.
Okay, shoot, I missed it.
Gotta get him on the show.
Yeah.
Gotta get him on the show.
Get him on.
100%. Final Fantasy.
I would really like that. I could see it seemed like you were not into
I'd be so mad. I'd be very mad.
I can see that. I really can.
No Coleman camping gear, so I don't know if Jones would be mad.
Jones would be stoked. He's stoked on that. He's stoked on old Final Fantasies. He would love it. I think.
really want another Yoshi rant from Jones. Or something else. Just Jones rants are good in general.
They're so good.
They're the best. We're running a little bit long today, so we're just going to do one more email.
Okay.
Why is easy difficulty not that easy? This is from Alexander. Easy difficulty is meant to help players who don't have skill or time to master a game, or to those who simply want to enjoy the story. But easy mode only usually simplifies the combat and completely ignores other potential progress blockers.
Cool.
For example, sometimes games ask players to find a specific item or place without giving it its exact location. It seems obvious to give the player a quest mark on easy difficulty, especially because he can do the same thing by reading a guide, but for some reason games don't do so. Other obvious yet barely seen examples are giving players the ability to reallocate skill points, removing cooldown timers for shop restocks, giving the player infinite lives at a checkpoint. My question to the panel, why do easy difficulties in games don't make the player's life particularly easy and still force them to spend time on stuff they might want to ignore?
Sounds like a
really like this email.
Sounds like a case-to-case basis, but I mean, I played Persona on normal, but like, maybe I died to a boss a couple times and I put it down to easy, and it was like way easier. So
I'm thinking of
this case-to-case basis of like having to find things. I get that.
Yeah.
Like I think of Silent Hill. There's two difficulties. You do combat difficulty and puzzle difficulty. You can choose the difficulty of the puzzles.
That's awesome.
Which I think is really clever.
Yeah.
But I've never really seen that in later games. So I think that is a fascinating thing to explore. Because I think difficulty just really usually pertains to combat. I can't really think of any other.
Yeah, it's really tough because, like in Divinity, for example, on the classical difficulty, kind of the normal difficulty, there would be times where I'm like, oh my god, this is so destroying me. And what's a great thing about Divinity is I like that you can change it at any time.
Nice.
You want to bump it up or down just to whatever you're feeling at that moment. I really value that. But when I would bump it down, I'm like, well, now this is too easy. I kind of want something in between. And I always think back to GoldenEye. And I really love the way GoldenEye would handle difficulty, where it wasn't just like, we're going to tweak these numbers. It's like the way, how you progress through this mission will be completely different. And I like that on a lot of levels, because if you're somebody who's feeling intimidated or you want less of a challenge, you're like, okay, I just won't have to do as much stuff. That's kind of nice. That feels kind of free. But if you are a player who wants that extra challenge, it's not just these guys are going to take longer to kill. It's like I get to experience things that people on lower difficulties won't get to experience. And I want to see more of that.
Totally.
I don't think we get enough of that.
My favorite thing is Kingdom Hearts, beating that stuff on Proud Mode and unlocking special cutscenes.
Sure.
Such a cool reward. It's like, yeah, you can play on easy and see 98% of the game, but those who are willing to really put in the extra time are going to be rewarded because those cutscenes are awesome.
I do love that. Those cutscenes are really cool.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. Here's the thing. I think that if you can't find an item and you have to go to YouTube to find it, I actually like that. I like that part of video games because you're translating that and you're having to find the path to that thing on its own. I think if you really want the game to point out the things that your character is searching for that distinctly, you're losing part of the game. I think, I can't support it too much. And so even the act of like looking it up on YouTube, seeing exactly where it is and doing it on your own, I think there is something valuable to that. And so I don't have a problem with it. I actually don't.
Kyle, dude, Yakuza.
Hidden items?
No, the original, like Yakuza 1 specifically. There are parts when you need to go somewhere or talk to someone and it doesn't tell you where to go. It's like, yo, I gotta go find this thing, or I gotta go figure this out, and you're just in the city with no waypoints whatsoever, and it's awesome. But I remember in Yakuza 1, I got lost for like hours.
Yeah.
And they just, in later installments, like I think by 3 maybe, or 3 or 4, like that's gone. None of that is all gone. So now it's like, tells you exactly where to go at all times.
Yeah.
And there is something lesser about being pulled to your location rather than discovering it on your own. So I totally get that.
That's interesting because when I was streaming the PS2 version of Yakuza 1, there were definitely moments where I was like, I have to look this up.
Yeah.
And then playing through Kiwami, I didn't have that problem. They addressed that, or at least it felt like they addressed that.
Totally.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes it is nice to be lost. But for me, whenever I want to be lost, it's not because I'm trying to do something else. It's just like the game is giving me space to be lost. Yeah. I think being lost when you really want to do something is extremely frustrating.
That is the worst.
Yeah. Just being in a room and there's like some other part of that room and you're like, I've been through these 3 things 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puzzle anxiety, dude. When I know I need to like solve something or figure something out, and I have no idea how, and I just want to see the next cutscene or get to the next room and breathe, freaks me out.
Do you think, I'm really glad that you brought up YouTube. Do you think the existence of YouTubes and streams and stuff is something that developers are very conscious of and has impacted difficulty? Where like, hey, we could change this, but if people get stuck, they can just look it up.
I wonder that, Ben. Because game design used to be extremely obtuse. I think wondering if they'll just buy the strategy guides.
Right.
Just some RPGs were like, there's no way you could have known that otherwise.
I'd love to talk to a developer about that.
Yeah.
And see if that has had any
impact on design. I had to hard quit Final Fantasy 1.
Sure.
Because I got to a point.
Yeah.
Where the PSP one, where it was like, all right, go find so-and-so or something. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know where to go. Couldn't even find my place in a guide because I was so confused. It's like, I don't even know how to look this up at this point.
Sure.
Yeah, I think developers now putting a secret in their game, they're sure that people are going to find that secret within a day and put it up on YouTube. Yeah. I think they're aware of that.
They're Rocksteady.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna rebuttal with. Is I like that because of the awareness of it, they're just making the secrets way more insane and harder to find.
Like the Rocksteady one, involves like the radio stations or something, right? In Arkham City,
that hidden wall in Asylum.
Oh, that was really cool.
Cool.
That's one of my favorites ever, dude.
Yeah. That is going to do it for this episode of Frame Trap. Sorry we cut the emails a little bit short. If you would like to send an email, have us talk about it. Thank you to both those. I enjoyed both those discussions.
So close to 4 hours.
We're close to 4 hours.
4-hour Frame Trap.
We're close to 4-hour Frame Trap.
Couldn't make it.
Couldn't make it happen. Couldn't make it. If you'd like to send an email askeasyallies@gmail.com.
That was really 4 hours?
That is surprising.
3 hours.
That was really surprising, honestly. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like 4 hours?
No, it doesn't.
Nice.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I had no idea we were that deep.
We're
4 hours
felt
deep.
like 2:15 to me.
Yeah. 2.5, 2:15. Wow.
Yeah. Did it feel like 4 hours to you?
Let us know.
Let us know.
In the comments below.
In the comments below. Yeah, once again, if you would like to send an email, askeasyallies@gmail.com. I'd like to thank you, Kyle and Huber, for engaging in the discussion, for your honesty. Always good to have you both. And we will see you next time.